All right, I think we're almost good. Uh, we'll just see maybe if I'm in focus. If I'm in focus or not in focus, and none of you guys tell me, we are gonna have a terrible time. Also, I think I could bring this ISO a little bit lower. Oh, there we go. That's better. That is much better. Much better. I can't talk today. Okay. All right, ready to go. I guess what I'll do here is. Oh, a lot of people just came in at the same time. Alorio, I feel like you're on more live streams than I'm on live streams, and I'm on a lot of people live streams. I've never done one where you're not there. Also, let me know if I am in focus. I hope I am. Hopefully the focus is good here. Tyler, what up? What's going on, Tyler? Went for the moody DOP look. Kinda, yeah. Actually, it's funny because like this light is still keying me from like over here, just because like where the cameras are, there's a giant desk in the way. But also because I didn't want to like just leave it out of frame and it kind of go dark in the background, I just kind of left it as it is. And it also kind of like it feels like it should be there. So I think it somehow give me 50. Oh, you're going right into it. Yeah. So today I'm talking about I guess there's been a leak or a rumor of the FX2. I kind of want to go over it. I'm not part of anything about it. I've never seen it. I know nothing about it. I guess Sony doesn't want to, have me test the camera out. But whatever the case is, I'm no hard feelings. But I do want to talk about some of the things, at least as they are currently written. Focus is good. We love to hear that. Looking sick. What setup is this? So right now, I'm deciding to go with a spherical live stream today. No anamorphic, mostly because I'm finding this Blazar Remus, it's a little bit too tight for the room. I might need something a little bit wider, but we are going with the 18 millimeter Lumix L mount S Prime and the Blackmagic Pixis, and then I'm just running an SDI to the USB. Uncle Kofi's here. Do not worry, my nephew is going to be here. Hi from Houston, Nuba, big fan. I think this is my first time catching you live. Vicky, welcome. It gets depraved out here. I am so sorry for what you're about to watch. It starts off pretty professional, and then it quickly dissolves into not being that. Greg, what's going on, my man? Giovanni needs like an Xbox achievement of how many live streams I've seen him on, because it's like pretty much everything. Emphasizes the magnificently melanated. You already know what it is, bro. There's a lot of people in the stream all at once. Holy, how many people are in here right now? 48. And I've been on for 3 minutes. Shill Team 6 has arrived. Hey, we need to have like some sort of like call out or like a sound that I could like press on a thing. So man, how you doing? And FX2. We're gonna get into the FX2 real quick. I just want to make sure I catch up with all the comments. If all the rooms are true, Sony kind of hustling backwards. We'll get into that. If it's the A7 IV, if it's an A7 IV with a fan, I'm switching to Lumix is crazy. But also, I'm not against that. I wouldn't be surprised if someone would do that. I just want the Pixis 12K. I also want my Pixis 12K, but it's not shipping yet. My kind of people then. Hey, Vicky, you're in the right place if you want some depravity. Venice Media, quick question with the D's. Question: the Diesel Vespa's on sale. Do you think they're good for cine lens, a sharp soft, but compared to photo lenses? I'm a big Diesel stan. Like especially the Vespas. That was like the first cinema lenses I used. I'm gonna try to talk even slower. We're gonna try this. I think it's a great deal. I think for what it is right now, the price point, I think they're like $799. That's the same price as like getting some of the lower level photo glass, like the G lenses. So I could totally see that being a pretty viable option for your first one. I don't know if there's anything that's cheaper than that. That's like decent. It gets ignorant here. Yeah, it does. I'm not going to sit down here and lie to you. I'm on 2 lives right now. Giovanni, which lives are you on? Has anyone else? I know Lumix's stream just ended. I literally waited for Sean to wait till it ended. Shillin' and chillin'. Hey, you know what it is. Yo. Caleb, what's going on? I feel like Caleb's new here. I haven't seen you in the comments before. JC, bro, Sony are bugging. I have sad feelings. I'm not even mad about this. I just think maybe timing is going to be not ideal. We got our first dislike. The dislike bots are going to come back. Watch, every about minute and 30 seconds is going to be a new dislike, and that will identify the bot in the room. Unless it's just someone trying to humble me, which there's FX3 users that are mad at me now. Hey, what up? What's going on? All Sony had to do was make an RX1 a 3. See it straight up. Sony's using violence over this title. Literally, I told you, on that little timer, again, I come in here and someone is running a little dislike bot, and it's going to keep happening. I could almost time up when they're going to happen. There you go. And you could time up them in between. Hey, guys, 60 people in the chat so far. Let's run those likes up. Hey, I'm here to see it. We got 6. Yeah, so someone's doing it again. This is what I mean with, like, I know there's a lot of people that say, like, the whole hater thing's hyperbolic, but there's literally somebody who has gone out of their way to make sure they run up dislikes on a timer because they're equal timing from each other every time I've live streamed the last couple times. But that's the last I'm going to mention it. It doesn't matter that much. It's not going to stop anything. As a newbie photographer, especially into video, I'm getting intrigued a lot. Hang on a second. What's the big commotion over the new Lumix? Hang on a second. I'm trying to make this smaller so it's easier to fit. There we go. I think what it ended up having to do, and this is also like where you get into the debacle between, like, do you want me to be honest or do you want me to say something that makes you feel good? And I think what ends up happening with this and like the S1 too, and again, I have so much FX line content that I've seen the handles on the FX line cameras turn white. Objectively, it's hard to recommend a $3,900 camera when the $3,200 camera does a lot of the same things and it's cheaper. That's what it was. And I think a lot of people that were deep into the Sony system were very upset about that. Or didn't think that that should be a worthy comparison or whatever the case might be. But to be fair, if you have money and you're looking for a camera, like, anything's on the table. Kofi Cups, let's go. I don't have any mounted here, but I probably will next time. Sony giving us the middle child energy wanting attention now. That's funny. FX2 just in time for tariffs. I thought the tariffs were figured out. I thought they kind of like came to an agreement that I think the US is only like 10%. My only wants to see Kofi run around with a Ronin 4D. I have one. It's like behind, and I did do that, and it's a lot of fun. It's really heavy, but it's a lot of fun. What I missed because I'm lost. You didn't miss anything yet. I haven't said anything. How's the short film going? We actually sent our 3rd version of the script over to our other producer and our like someone else who's helping kind of facilitate a lot of the things in the film. We're just waiting for feedback to see if we got the script finalized and we're all ready to go. And then I can start doing my thing in terms of shot listing, location scouting, and staffing and stuff. So we need an FX12. What would be an FX12? We will make the Ronin 4D look like a Pocket 3. No. Like, Giovanni, this is a camera where, like, it's big. It looks appropriately sized. Wait, is the FX2 actually real? I hope not. I hope not as much as it is told with the current things that are out. Now, again, what I will say is I still don't like rumor sites because some of these things could be wrong and there's no accountability to the rumor site for doing it. However, if that is true, there are things that I hope that aren't real. Like, basically, this live stream is to say, like, I hope based on the information giving that I hope it's not accurate. I hope there's more to it. How do you compare the Vespa to the Sigma or G Master Prime in terms of sharpness? Any thoughts? I don't know if this makes any sense, but the Dizito Vespa Primes are detailed but not sharp. I hope that makes sense. There's a lot of detail in them, but they're not like they don't look crunchy or sharp or like over sharpened, if that makes any sense. Is FX2 leaks this? Sorry, SJ. I said that. I think that's supposed to be in my head. I don't know if they're real. I have no clue. Looking at it as how it is and how it's presented, and we'll kind of go into it for people that are behind the 8-ball. I hope there's more to it. That's what I'm trying. What I'm trying to say is I hope there is more to it. Just me hoping that it's fake or it's a myth. That's just me saying, like, whenever we get into these rumor sites and stuff like that, usually they're not completely accurate. This one seems very sure. I don't know. So I want there to be more. I'm hoping that there are more things. Big Cove. Yeah, what up? Pressing FX2 isn't necessary though. They're getting too comfortable. GTA and Surrounded Peeps get signed on the May 24th event at Team. Yeah, you're right. Posters just went up today, so that is going to happen. Hey, Sean, I actually waited till your live stream ended before I got on mine. So, respect where it is due. My thoughts on the Arliss versus Vesper Primes for a kit build at. I'm thinking with the price might be nice to build a full set with the Vespids, maybe rent the Arliss needs. I'm not sure. Arlos are definitely I'd say more favorable look, but it comes at the cost of a lot of size and a lot of price point. So I mean, if you be in the gym and you're willing to handhold that, or you're willing to have a bigger rig, then I think by all means. But outside of that, maybe not. The Vespids will do great too. Which cameras will chip out closer to announcements. FOMO sucks. Hey, Sean, you're in the chat. You heard that? He said, hurry up with the S12s. Capture Cup came in, started using it. Highly recommend. Thank you, man. We actually put it on a racetrack with a M4 going like 200 an hour and didn't move a bit. It was actually held up really well. Red Komodo or Pixel 6K? Don't watch any of my videos then, because I'm going to say I said some stuff that a lot of people didn't like. So scroll through the channel. My answer is there in a 27-minute video. Archel Vergara, sorry. Hello. Hey, there you go. Nice to see you again, man. Congrats. Sounds like it's going well. So far, so good, man. We're trying. We're trying to make this thing happen. We're just kind of on hold for a lot of stuff. I think Trump still wants to charge 100% tariff on all films not made in the USA. Yeah, I feel like he's going to change his mind about that too, just like he did the other stuff. Like, I don't know if that's a long-term sustainable solution. And also, I don't know if he realizes how many films are shot outside of the USA. Okay, I have an S1R2, but should I get the S12 or the E? Aaron, that's like, if budget's not a thing, then just get the S12, because anytime that if you keep both in your bag and you're like, oh man, I really wish I can get like this thing from the S1R2, the S12 has it. So like, if you're shooting and your rolling shutter doesn't work out the way that you want it to, literally you just pull out the S12 and get those things addressed, right? If you want speed or whatever the case is. So if you have the budget, I mean, like, just get the more expensive thing. I don't think you're going to be upset about that, but yeah, man. Recommendations for you using your first big boy cinema camera. For now, I'm eyeballing the Arri Alexa Plus 4x3, the Sony F55. Hey, man, if you got way more money to buy your first big boy cinema camera than I do, I think what the Arri Alexa Plus is what, 20? If it's 20, man, I might say an Ursa 12K. It's cheaper. 86 people early. It need to be 86 likes. You heard Terry. Wolf Terry has said that you have to press the like button. Okay, give us an EVF on the XS2. I have a question, Greg, and this is where I'm kind of getting into the kind of the FX2 talk. Is that like is that all we needed? Like, is that all what's people wanted from like the FX3 was the EVF? Because when I think about it, like, if I'm shooting video, I don't know if I guess I only have an S1, 2 to kind of do this with. If there's an EVF, I don't shoot video like this. Like, I've never done this with video shooting at all. Never in my life. When it's on like an ENG body and I'm shoulder rigged up, you could use an EVF. But then, like, if I have a shoulder rig on an FX3 size camera that's like this big, like, I'm probably, like, for me to get that to my eye, I'm holding the camera like this and like trying to peek out of it. Is that something that like people wanted? I genuinely don't know. The rumor I saw says the FX2 is $3,500. So what would be the point of buying this versus an FX3? It seems like the Pixel 6K or the S12 makes way more sense for less money. I could be wrong though. This, again, Will, this is where, and again, this isn't necessarily me making an indictment on Sony. This is me saying that I really hope the rumor sites aren't right, because I don't think at that price point it makes sense. I think what's happening is that is the camera. And for those of you guys that aren't fully aware, I guess what the rumor has said or whatever it is, again, I don't like rumor sites, but as somebody who's covered so much of the FX line, like, it feels like it should be addressed. Essentially, it is an A7 IV in what would be an FX3 body with a little thingy at the bottom, the viewfinder, and internal 30-bit 2-bit float. And I'm assuming because it's an FX2, it's supposed to be like lesser than the 3. I could only assume that the price point would be a lot less. But then also, I don't know where, like, and again, I need you guys to help me out. Where would you place that? And would it be an FX line camera anyways? Because I could see that being a great stills camera, if that's what people wanted. But I with the A7 IV, the A7C2 out, I don't know where I don't know where to put it if the other camera is way more expensive, kind of thing. That's what I'm trying to get to. Looks like another cheap money grab. No 4K 60 with real full frame. Yeah, again, this is where I think and I hope it's wrong, and like I hope they're not right. I hope it's a different conversation about something else, and I hope even when like the S12 was like kind of in the mix and stuff like that, the rumors were super loud and very wrong, right? Even if they were like confirmed by sources or whatever the case might be, it was like very loud and wrong until the last minute. I'm hoping that with enough time, we're going to learn more about it and it's a lot more compelling, especially if the price is the most correct thing that's there. Wouldn't be surprised if the A7 IV with a fan that can do shutter angle and open gate. No jokes. I'd sell a kid for that shit. For $3,500, which again, it's no knock on anybody. It's just very interesting because, like, to be fair, a camera that has more capability came out 2 days ago, and a lot of people had said that that's not worth the price. But an A7 IV and an FX3 body would be okay with being $3,500. It's interesting. How is it going, man? I'm going well, man. Anything new with you? You know, making YouTube videos, doing live streams. We're working on a short film, and I have a documentary to shoot next week. Pretty much all next week. Will we be there May 24th, the Sony event, same as before. Archel, I am running it with Chris Brocker, so I will be there. So when I like talk about this FX2 business, like keep in mind, just so we're all on the same page here, on the whole like using Lumix and using Blackmagic, there's more financial incentive for me to tell you about Sony cameras. But like when something's good or when something's bad, I'd rather just be honest about it than try to gaslight you for money, because then obviously that's not a long-term sustainable solution. And right now, I hope at least if everything is right about this new whatever FX line camera is, I hope it's a lot cheaper. Like I hope they come out swinging and like, no, it's $19.99. I'm like, okay, I could side with that, but we'll see. Folly from Italy. Hey, we were in Tuscany a little while ago. Well, so y'all drove the price of that 50. I just got the 50S though. Hey, you know what? You had 7 years to buy that, Bray. So don't hate the player. Just picked up an S5 2X like 3 days ago. I should have waited for the S12E. Oscar, that sounds like you can still exchange it. I don't know. Like I actually, I don't know, someone here. I'm working on the S12E video. Supposed to shoot it today, but the AC in my apartment is broken, so I don't know when I'm gonna shoot videos. Hey, what's up, Roddy? Is Terry going to join this live? Terry, let's see. Terry, if you're still here, if you want to jump in, right? Like, let me get the professionalism out of the way before we deprave ourselves for about an hour. But Terry might come in later on. What would be the point of the FX Mark II? Now, okay, so I could say again, I don't know anything. I'm not involved. I'm only going off of the information that is currently available. I can see it being something where, again, it has to be cheaper. It would have to be cheaper for me to make this make sense. But I would see it being the same market as people that wanted the FX3 but couldn't afford it, but also opted for a viewfinder. Because to be fair, there was a petition, I think, when the FX3 came out to give it a viewfinder. And there was like, I think a few hundred signatures for it. So there was a demand for it. So it's not like Sony just like, it's hard for us to be like, oh, if again, assuming it's true, it's hard for us to be like, oh, nobody asked for this. I'm like, literally people asked for it. They made a petition and sent it to Sony to ask for it. So there is a market for it. So I don't know who those people are. But if you are in this chat and you're wondering, like, you're like, oh yeah, I totally wanted my compact cinema camera to have a viewfinder, by all means. But also like 32-bit float sounds awesome. Internal sounds awesome. Unless it's in the new top, unless there's like a top handle that's new, kind of like how like Lumix has their XLR2. That'd be great, but I have no clue. We must obey Terry. I ain't listen to Terry. He ain't my dad. FX2 is expensive at $3,500. At what it's currently offered at, I could agree. $3,500 for that. It's hard to place it when you have another camera that's in your lineup, two cameras that are $1,000 less. But if the viewfinder and the body are worth it to you, then I mean, like, it's the same argument as the S12 versus the FX3, I guess, in a lot of ways. Same video is worth Video with a monitor for me, I guess I could be used for photo, but then why? Yeah, because then you would have like I have an A7C II. I would just if I wanted photos, I would just do that. If I wanted video, like it still records video. How many subscribers did you have when brands started to reach out to you reviewing new products? 6,000. I think like six. Like brand deals that I got paid for around 6,000. Um, Stuff that I would get for free 1,200. If that helps. Yeah, because I think the first thing I did was like Namlight and Tiffin. People wanted the FX3 to have an EVF because the rear display was horrible. It was terrible resolution and brightness. I used to wish I had one to be able to check exposures. Sorry, Terry texted me and at the same time said that. Yeah, but then they also improved the screens now. So then, like, what do you like? I guess I'm only assuming that the new screen in the FXA would be put in the other camera because it's not manufactured yet. So then, like, what? Again, I don't know what to do. I want to know from you guys: is this a thing that you want to take away the price? Take away the price. Even then, if you were to guess a price, but everything that is currently being spoken about, is that something that you would want? I like the EVF for bright days. I started with photography, so I'm just used to it. Need an S9 II with an EVF, Sean. Sean, if you could get an S9 Mark II with that S1 II sensor, even like an S1R2 sensor with a viewfinder, man, I guess that would just be an FX3 then. That would kind of be an FX3. I think Lumix versus Sony debate is like Android versus Apple. Android phones certainly have better specs, but people are heavily involved in the Apple ecosystem, similar to Sony's current cult following. Yes, you are correct, Cody. The thing that I will say, though, is that if we are asking creators to be more honest with the audience, then when those things come up, then we have to be honest about those opinions, which came into the debacle because what would you like? If I had said the opposite, and keep in mind, I am heavily financially incentivized around the Sony FX line, particularly in paid workshops because I have one next week. What would happen if I had lied and I wasn't true with my own opinions and I told the opposite in order to keep some sort of sanctity to loyalty to a brand that doesn't necessarily have to keep me on for anything? So again, that's where it comes into the face of things. We asked for people to be more honest and transparent, but then when it's inconvenient, all the pitchforks come out, which is interesting. I'm about to get everyone angry and buy an FX2 and the S1 Kidding, maybe. Brian, if you got money like that, man, have at it. By all means, enjoy yourself. I ain't got that kind of cash. And things are going okay. I ain't got that kind of money. Sony has too many cameras. Just give me a Venice and I'm good. Hey, Sony, just give me a Venice too. Like, give me a Venice 2, but give me a Venice 2. You know what I mean? There's a 17K. Let's go. Who's with me? A lot of rental shops. I've been to a lot of rental shops in the city. A lot of them are picking up that Ursa 17K because it is far cheaper than an Ari right now. And it'll probably rent a little bit less, but it'll rent a lot more frequently. Like, it'll rent less for less money, but it'll rent real frequently. So if you have a rental shop that's near you, I would put a bug in their ear to get that Ursa 17K so you could rent that bad boy out, and it'll probably be pretty cheap. I feel like Sony's scrambling because other camera brands are pushing boundaries. Yeah, maybe, but like also keep in mind, like Aaron, and again, I could play it both sides. I could be devil's advocate here. There's still a ton of people with Sony cameras that have no intention of switching. This is the exact same. This is going to be the exact same thing as when like Canon had a full foothold on everything, and Sony was just coming out with a lot of mirrorless cameras, right? Like, a lot of people were clutching on their the 60Ds or their 60 Mark IIs. Like, a lot of people were clutching onto those until the grip released, right? So I could see that, yeah. It is a little bit of a scramble, but I think in terms of like people actually making the switch over, it's still a few years, man. Like, there's not that many people going from one camera brand to another. Not that often. S9 needs an EVF for the same reason I just said about the FX3, albeit the screen on the S9 is way better than the first gen FX3. Yeah, oh, yeah, that's fair. From someone that's both, yeah, that's fair. Okay, not putting too much stock into it because I'm happy with my FX3. OpenGate would be crazy as opposed to the lesser version of real. Yes, I think for OpenGate for the FX3 though, like on that sensor, I think it would need to have more resolution possibly. But Yeah, I could agree with that. I like again, a lot of the things that we had said about the S12 was it's things that you wished were on an FX3 that aren't, and it's on another camera and it's cheaper. So it becomes very hard to be like, no, spend more money. That's the tough part. Hey, we got a super chat in the building. Broadcast to the channel. Hey, Shill Gang 6. No, it's Shill Team 6. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. Don't butcher this name. I spent a long and hard time actually thinking about what I was going to call things. And I don't want you to ruin what is sacred, okay? All right, Cam? All right. Hey, Kofi, Sony really did strike oil with an A7S III sensor, huh? 5 years later, and it's still the best in class in so many areas. Sam O'Hara, yes. However, that was the same conversation with the A7S II at $32.99. Then other cameras came in, and then the A7S II wasn't $32.99 anymore. The FX3 is a great camera objectively. However, when new technology comes in that's competitive and cheaper, then yes, people will compare and contrast. When the A7S III came out, we did that to other cameras. It's not any different than when this one came out. When that A7S III dropped, the amount of people that were contrasting, comparing to the things that were out currently, that already happened. It's just the same thing now. It's not that much different. Again, I'm not trying to cook you, but like I'm just saying that like yes, the FX3 is older, but it's also still $700 more. So, if someone was to ask me whether or not to buy one, me saying, well, it's older, isn't charitable or coherent enough to tell someone to do that, to spend more money. That's the conversation. Yeah, hopefully the pricing is wrong. The FX2 would be good. Yeah, 3,000 sub 3,000. I could see that's like right. Sony doing something at like $26.99, $29.99. Like that wouldn't surprise me. I don't know if I'd still run after it, but it wouldn't surprise me. That man Kofi. Hey, what up, Mar? Yeah, finally, man. It's about time. Terry, the main thing holding me back from getting an S9 is a hybrid cam is a lack of EVF. Sean, hey, Sean, I know you're still here. I want you to talk to Lumix about this, okay? The people are speaking. They said they want an S9 to have a viewfinder. I don't know what you got to do that, but give the people what they want. Sony can't really do too much in their lineup other than add OpenGate, which they won't do to protect the Venice. Which, okay, with that, I can kind of agree, but I also have the question of like, if I'm somebody buying a Venice, I don't care about an A7 IV. There are so many other things other than OpenGate that would get me to buy a Venice. Like that's not, I don't know. I really hope that's not the logic there, because I don't know if that, like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Because if I could sell 30 extra Sony A7 VIs or whatever the case might be that has OpenGate, if I can do that at a higher margin instead of selling one Venice 2, because like, I don't know, the high-end market's not what it used to be, I'd take that all day long. I hope Sony does something disruptive and they start just sending their sensors down the pipeline and just says, hey, you know what? I kill me. You don't kill me. I kill me. The S12 doesn't kill my FX3. I kill the FX3. So that'd be hilarious. But yeah. Point of the FX2, money. I'll be real with you. That's the point of every camera brand, is money. Get your milk and bread before joining the stream, Terry. No, please don't. Don't give him either one of those things, because I'm not trying to hear them later. Making a short film in a few weeks. I'm going to be shooting on it and acting in it. I am leaning for the Komodo because of global shutter. What is subtitles? There's tons, man. I think TD Artisans. I can't remember what they're called. I think they're Hope Prime, something like that. I mean, I'm big DZO till the death of me, till the wheels fall off. Even though I'm selling one of my lenses so I can get the Arles Primes. But also like, you're acting in it, but you're filming it. What do you need the global shutter for? It might be. I'm just assuming it's on sticks, but I'm curious. So we're just gonna forget that the A7S III exists. Nobody forgot the A7S III exists. We're just saying that there's other cameras that are more competitive that cost less. Like that. I feel like I've said the same thing 15 times, or at least 60 times in the last 2 days. I also don't like Rumours, but curious on when they're planning to launch and release it. No idea. Go check out the video. I don't know. I'm not too sure. So, Ward Kofi, I'm headed to Ghana with my wife in October. Hey, chale, let's go. Yenko. Tim, I hope you're brushing up on your chi, because I hope you're listening to the Uncle Kofi teaching the Ghanaian language of the day, because you have to make sure you do not, you're Obronio. So if you go to Ghana, if you go to Kumasi, if you go to Accra, you may have to find someone to speak for you, because they will take your tin. So wait, time out. FX2, am I late to the school? Yeah, no, it's again, this is a reference to a rumor. I don't like rumor sites. I'm still going to tell you the same thing. However, as someone who does a lot of stuff in the FX line, a ton, it was asked of me quite a bit, so I decided to do a video on it. And my personal take is that I hope that some of those details aren't fully fleshed out, because I don't know where to place the camera. What are the odds the eventual S9 will have a hot shoe and an EVF? Well, I think, Sean, hey. Every time someone asks something about Lumix in like a new camera body, I'm just going to say Sean's name and just hope that he's listening. Sean, they want a hot shoe and an EVF. And like, you know what? I would pay, if it was $19.99, I wouldn't be against it. I'm happy with my FX30. Good. No, I'm dead serious too. That's excellent, because the FX30 is a great camera. All cameras are great. The FX30 for dollar, awesome as an APS-C camera. Excuse me. You check exposure to the video tools, not an EVF. Depends on what it is, Omar. There's times I've used an EVF, but it's like the bigger EVF, because like if you're shoulder rigging, you can't check on the screen as easily. So it kind of depends. Those are the biggest complaints on launch day, outside the pancake lens and the Japan of it all. Yeah, the Japan part's still confused, man. Again, I've been to 2 Sony condos, 3 Lumix trips. This recent one to Texas was the exact same launches as my first Sony condo, in the sense of, we went there was 2 hybrid cameras that were sensors that already exist, rehouses into new bodies, and a lens. I think it was almost the same lens too, and 2 very different responses, and more people went to condo. S12 came on the 11th in CD dynamic range ranking, 0.1 stop lower than the Venice 2, and 0.4 like the sensor's cooking. I don't know if you guys saw my video, but me and Jason Morris actually did a little bit of some just not like run at the mill dynamic range test between the S12, the S1R2, and the RE Alexa Mini LF. I'm less mad that I don't have an RE Alexa LF. I'm not saying it would supersede it, but I'm less upset about not having one. I Terror Panic bought my first camera ever. That FX3 brand sale, $1,500 for the FX30 is a steal. I don't care what nobody says. If you guys could find an FX30 for under $1,800, scoop it. Forget everything I said. Scoop it. You'll be happy. Hey, you wanted that? You get okay. So those skin tone videos are working perfect. FX3A and the FX2 feels like really weird moves from Sony, especially when Canon, Lumix, Nikon, Blackmagic are taking big swings. It looks like Sony's making lateral moves. I think the screen on the FX3A, 2 things. Like, one, to Sony's fairness, I don't think that was meant to be a big upgrade. I think when the internet catches hold of it, that's what happens. Because it's happened before and nobody's cared, nor said anything. But the again, this whole whatever this FX2 thing is, I don't understand. And I'm asking you guys, the audience, to help me understand, so I could think about this coherently, because I might be missing something. Hey, Kobe, quick question for you. Rumors in the FX2 this camera comes, will the price of the FX3s go down? Thanks again. Isaac, I have no clue. I only teach people how to use the FX line. I know nothing about the back workings of how these things sell or what camera's coming out. The workshop that I'm doing, I think, is before the rumor drop date anyway, so I won't even see it. I have no idea. Hola. Hey, what up, Day? Dang you. Is it odd I really don't care about the extra features? No, that's not odd if you're happy with, no, if you're happy with what you have, there's nothing, despite the fact that they're exciting, there's nothing wrong with that. I will say that when the RE Log C and all the other stuff came out for the GH7, the first thing people said was, when is it coming to full frame? And then it came to full frame. Mighty Miggy, what up? Yeah, there are so many people that invest in a specific glass mount and are long-term brand followers and what they use. Definitely. Yeah, I agree. As a BM owner, I feel like Sony's biggest advantage is there's so many of their own lenses keeping their system. Yes. However, I will say there's a lot of L mount lenses being made now by different companies. So a lot of companies are making L mount a thing. And if you join the L mount alliance, from what I understand, and Sean, you correct me if I'm wrong, Those are native lenses, so there's no software or mechanical limitations to using a third-party Lumix lens. Love the 17K resolution until you need to buy recording medium, long-term storage, and edit. Hey, you know what? If you got a 17K camera, bro, you are probably working on jobs that require that, which means you are making money. What if Sony added internal NDs to the FX2? Bray, if you added anything to the world that's not an FX3 Mark II, people are going to be mad. Also, my printer just started working and nobody's here. So I don't know what that's printing out. Greg, you can shoot low resolutions on the 17K, 12K sound. Yeah, you're right. Wow, Shill Gang 6. What the fuck is that, Cam? Yeah, I agree. I don't know what that means. My printer is printing things, and I'm the only one here. Lumix needs to get more third-party lens manufacturers on board. Viltrox, Siri, etc. having announced joining the Element Alliance, but I haven't seen any lens announcements yet. Bedrock, that's because that was in April, bro. You gotta let it simmer, bro. We can't be just swinging out features on the drop of a dime. So they'll be quicker than most, but it's not happened yet. So Oscar heading to the Sony Venice Fun. Hey, let's go. Might be a Ursa 17K by the time I'm ready though. I also need the work to do that. I'm not at the level where I need that. Also, if you see me glistening a bit, it's because it is 84 degrees in this office, maybe even hotter. Why is my printer doing that? It's 84 degrees, maybe hotter. Our AC broke, and our landlord said it's not that hot. I'll show up whenever I feel like it. So here we are. They should get the A9 III global sensor and FX3 body instead of... Yes, 100%. What does Sony need to do to make the FX3 Mark II, if anything, to beat the S1 II? Pretty much same body, most of the shooting modes, unless there's no fix in the object tracking would be there already. Pretty much all of the same things that are in the S1 II in a smaller body without an EVF. But some of the features that you have to externally do on the S1 II to be internal. So if like the 32-bit float was internal audio with the top handle that comes with it, stuff like that. So it's not a ton. And also it'd have to be competitively priced, which truthfully, knowing the track record of Sony as a brand, it wouldn't be. It would be more money. It'd be way more. I think the FX2 is real sort of test entry market, the FX3 Mark II in the future, like 2026. Hopefully, we don't know. Like we don't know. There's no patents for new sensors or anything like that. So whatever's out is whatever's out. I don't know. I don't know what would happen. I would love to see them use maybe some of the sensors they sold off and then do more with it. Like that Z8 and Z6 III sensor, those are Sony made. It'd be great to see them put that in some of the new generation bodies. They're going to make an A7C2 in FX3, maybe with an EVF change. And charge us how much? Yeah, from what I heard, it's $3,500, man. I don't know. It's hard. I don't know. I don't know what 3,500, man. I don't know. And if like Sony, I'm sure there's someone from Sony watching this, man. Like, again, this is not a negative indictment on the company because I do a ton of work for you guys. But I think what's ending up happening is that this is more of a love letter from the audience to reconsider a couple of things if the things that are out are true. Jason would cook, not, yeah, I let it off at an A9 III sensor. If they could put that A9 III sensor in a cinema body, we're having different conversations. I will gladly swallow my words on anything I've said if they're able to do that. And like they have a lot of the same FX line features already built in. We don't have to wait 4 years for them. Absolutely. FX2 sounds cool, I guess. Would love a camera with a sensor that could rotate from horizontal to vertical. Press a button. I'm tired of rigging my camera vertically. Sounds like somebody wants 3x2 open gate. I'm just saying. I'm all in Sony, but I would have bought the S9 if it had a hot shoe as an everyday camera. Sean, you hear this? The audience is talking to you, bro. I really hope the rumor is going to be a lemon. Otherwise, camera conspiracies will be right about Japan camera market mafia. Simeon, I don't know what that means. Companies don't do that. People believe that, but that's a terrible strategy. Doc, I need you to put in what that is, because I don't know what it's referring to, because I'm just a little bit late on the chats. That doesn't make sense. Most people looking at A7 IV isn't looking at the Venice. Yeah, that's kind of what I said. Still needs to drop the price of the FX3 to match the new Lumix. The conversation would be different if they did. I just don't know if that's in their playbook. $6.99 chat. Hey, Taco and Ursa 17K fund. Let's go. If your business point is not money, then why are we out here complaining about how much stuff costs? You're right. Businesses make money. Oh, yes, they do. There is a reason why you don't see the A12 sensor in any of the cameras. Yeah, that's because they want you to buy the A12 at $6,500, which, to be fair, people buy it and have no problems with it. So if that's going to be your like long-term forever body, then hey, what's $6,500 instead of buying three $2,000 cameras? Bought the A6700 rather than the FX3 EVF. I trust the one eye more than both at the same time. Zacuto on the FX6. I have a Zacuto viewfinder somewhere in this house. I've never used it once, but I have one. Will they fix the crop in a firmware update? I don't. Y'all know Sony's track record with firmware updates, so that's. I don't know. Which brands would bring out some S35 focus sensor cameras, faster readout speeds with a DR bump? The XH2S showed us that it can work. I'm gonna get the RELX 35 as Super 35. Yes, but the RELX Super 35 is $100,000. And to be fair, I think the reason why a lot of like full frame cameras have come out is because I think the cost to make it probably isn't that much farther than the cost to make APS-C. And if the demand for full frame is going to be there, then it makes business sense for me to just make full frame cameras. Firmware update with internal NDs will hit. If you can do that with internal NDs, that'll break your cameras. FX2 is fake. Sean, I'm hoping you're right. I hope everything about these rumor sites are wrong. Because then my second question is where does it go? Sean, hey Sean, there's a lot of people that were talking to you, bro. A lot of people that were talking to you. Speaking of rumors, have you heard anything about the alleged DJI mirrorless? Kofi, blink twice if it's coming. I'll do this all day. Again, this is where I'm saying I don't like rumor sites, because what ends up happening is that we get fed unrealistic expectations. And that's what ends up happening. And that's why I said, in the vein of being fed unrealistic expectations, I hope the unrealistic expectations that are fed now are wrong. Which could be said the same as this DJI camera that everybody has dreamt up, which I don't think is real. I couldn't see why they would do that when the R&D and the resources can be put towards making more Osmo Pocket 3s that they're selling for $800 now. Just give me OCN. Hey, I would love that too. Chris finally got the stream. Hey, happy to have you here, man. Jeremy, holy shit, live stream sick. That's perfect. Is this shot on the S12? No, and the only reason why it's not is because I have a video with the S12 and I decided to just use my Pixis instead and then put the S12 in my bag. So maybe the next one will be, though. Well, live streams. No. You don't seem to understand. Sony does not have to make another camera for this market, and still double the size of the other. Take out Canon, all the rest combined. They don't. You're right. They don't owe us anything. But as somebody that is looking as someone that's looking at the release of this camera, I would scratch my head and wonder where it's going to be placed. That's all we're saying. I'm not like, yes, the market share conversation is a completely separate conversation. However, after continuous acts of not being innovative, that market share will change. Sort of how Nikon had a gigantic part of the market share. And these conversations about Nikon, however many years ago, was the part of the conversation. And when they didn't innovate, what ended up happening? That market value shifted to other companies that had their ear closer to the ground. So yes, the company owes us nothing, but over time, if I start seeing things in greener pastures, if I have the money to do it, I probably might take that opportunity to do so. I think that's what we're trying to get to today. Takeoff greetings in Malaysia. Just wondering, with the rumored FX2, two latest film cameras, would you recommend for people who hybrid work daily? I feel like in a general sense, the S12 still makes sense, because I think there's more, I guess, well-rounding, I guess if you want to call it, than there would be on the FX2, because the FX2 sounds very niche. I just don't know. Because I don't know where to place it, would probably imply that it's not a mainstream camera, and it's going to appeal to somebody, because let's all not forget, there was a petition for this. Because of that, it's niched and for everyday stuff. I would go with the more generalized camera than the niche one. But obviously, you pay more money for the niche. What's your main camera right now, Jacob? I have no main camera because whatever has a charged battery, whatever is the thing that I need to do, that's the camera that I pick. I don't really have a go-to because they're all on my desk. My battery charger's over there. So whatever is immediately in front of me, unless there's a reason, that's the one I pick up. GG's. What I miss, FX2, speed up. Basically, there is a light rumor or light rumbling about a FX line camera that will have the A7 IV sensor with a viewfinder in it. It's going to be $3,500 with internal 32-bit float. And I'm just hoping that for what it is offering, it is not what it is. I hope that we're being lied to in some ways. I hope it's not exactly verbatim what it is. Sean, Almount lenses from all partner companies are first party. So ASB communication between camera and lens would be native. Some features may be different based on each company's design. So that's what it is. If you see an L-mount lens, it is a native lens on the L-mount. Where in other brands like Sony, Canon, Nikon, third-party lenses may have some sort of limitations based on it being third-party. See, this is printed out by Sony. I've revealed no information that's not already on the internet. Also, I'm not brought up or signed anything, so I'm literally going off of what is currently available on the internet. Again, and to be fair, I'm not hating on the thing. I just don't know where to put it, and I want everyone else to trying to help me out with where to put that thing. Series 2 AF anamorphics, and they're 85 millimeters listed already. Oh, okay. Hate the flange edition of that L-mount right now. If there was an adapter, I would get myself an S1R2. I wish I had a shorter flange distance. I feel like a lot of people would be really happy with that. Yep. Cam I 1000% on that side. Your landlord sucks. Yeah, man, I got a text with a screenshot of my thermometer or my thermostat, and I'm like, hey, it's super hot in here, and our AC isn't turned over. And they said, I'll let you know next week, which was last week, and they said, it's not that bad. And I'm like, say less, I guess I'll just sweat to death. I love the FX30, but that S12 is so intriguing. Def gonna rent one as soon as I can. Yeah, you're in, I think you're in Florida. No, you're in Texas. You could probably get one around. Hey, Terry. Why do you got to do them like that? That was wild, bro. Hey, Charlie Lachance is saying, I have one question. Can I get the A7S III for $1,400? Should I buy it? Or if the A7S III is $1,400 US dollars, why are you asking me? Go buy it. What are you? $1,400? What are you doing? What are we doing? Why are you still here? Low hanging fruit. That's funny. 1 second, guys. I gotta make sure that I have my V-mount charger in the house. Because if this camera dies, like, I'm gonna be real sad about it. And I'll be real with you. I put my V-mount charger somewhere, and I don't know where exactly that is. Or, you know what? I have like a little power adapter here. Hang on a second. You guys are gonna have to stick here. I'll let the comments run up a bit. There you go. No. I know that you're not a speaker cable. You are. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm just going to plug this in. All right, there we go. That's way better. Making sure my camera doesn't die while I'm running this live stream. Also, yeah, it is hot as hell in here. Holy. All right, where are we? What do you hate about flange distance? It's amongst the most adaptable outside of mirrorless lenses, which are naturally hard to cross mount. That is fair. I think he's just saying that it's not a Z mount, so I can't put my Sony lenses on it. By red, Nikon is going to change the world. I hope. They got like 100, been around for like 110 years. So hopefully. Hello, bro, Terry. Hey, you know what? Hey, Terry, sometimes we get cooked and sometimes we cook other people. It's the circle of life. I will, yeah, so a retro body with the S12 sensor. Oh, the sirens. Welcome to Toronto. Kush. Thanks, Sosa. If you guys could hear that, that is the pleasant sounds of the ambience of the city of Toronto. I think they should do an EVF for the FX3 Mark II the same way they did, the same way like Blackmagic does it. Personally, I don't care about EVF. So I just like the choice. Yeah. You know what? Also, like putting the EVF in it, like if the camera's small and compact and you put the EVF on it, how does that go into a backpack without like protruding out? $3,500 US or Canadian pesos. $3,500. Cam, why is Kofi look? Oh, Cam texted me, said I'm drenched in sweat. It's because my house is 84 degrees right now, so AC is not getting fixed. $3,500 US is like $5,000 Canadian. No, a little less than $5,000. So it's a lot. It's too much. Sean, M1 is not adaptable to Z mount. On Z mount, I can adapt my E lenses. Yeah, Simeon. But that's the thing. Like when you camera mounts don't necessarily have to make it adaptable for every other mirrorless mounted lens, unfortunately, because they have their own lenses to sell, and also like there are technical limitations that adhere to those things. And I'm sure, despite the fact Nikon figured that out, only Nikon has figured that out. We want a hot shoe, Sean. 5K for the Pixis, 12K is going to be the biggest seal moving forward. That 12K sensor tops a mini LF and DR. Missing features aside, where in the past where you can complain about cameras. We've been past complaining about cameras for a fairly long time. I just wish everyone else caught up to that notion, to be honest. But yes, the Pixis 12K sensor, which is the same as the Ursa 12K sensor. You guys are going to be real happy and real excited when you guys start to see videos come out from people shooting projects on that, because it looks amazing. Hey, Cozy, what up, Brody? Simeon, fair point. The 60mm flange just does have some benefits. Do you know of any good cost-effective C-stands or C-stand alternatives? Hey, there's no replacing C-stand. That thing is, hey, you know, you can't really do a lot with replacing a C-stand. But I get Newer's one and Impact are the two brands that I usually have. But they're expensive nonetheless. Like C-stands aren't cheap across the board. Goodness gracious, I wish I had like a handkerchief. Because right now I am dying. But the show goes on. Scott Vandenberg. I agree. FX2 is a fake rumor. Probably Sony trying to catch a mole who leaks rumors. I hope so. Honestly, I thought that would be a thing from some companies, but I think that causes more problems than it solves. So I don't think that's the case. Like I don't think companies put out fake leaks, at least camera brands. Because then you also have like stock prices and stuff like that. Like that would not do well. Like if I'm investing in Sony Electronics and then I'm putting out fake leaks, if I'm someone who buys Sony stock, no, absolutely not. That'd be a terrible idea to do that. So I don't know if they're fake. At least not fake by Sony. The only way to fix the Super 35 4K 60 crop and 33 megapixel is line skip. I know that. It is just a slow sensor. The other bit rate lowering which will reduce dynamic range. Like, yeah, that would suck if that. I'm leaning on you guys to help me try to figure out. Again, I'm gonna remove the price because I hope it's not the right price. I think it's gonna be cheaper, or potentially anything else you would want from this thing. Because I would love this to actually be like a viable part of the FX line. I just don't know where it fits. I started Rumours side on cameras and just pump fantasy specs. I thought about doing that, and I was told very vehemently, "Don't try that shit." So I will not be doing that. You might be on your own for that one. Your video with the S1 R2 looks so good, and other creators video S1 too good. It's hard for me to give it up for an S1 2. That's the hard part, man. Like the image quality of the S1 R2 is just like a touch better than the S1 2. But you also have to deal with like slower readouts and stuff. So if you're okay with that and you're cool with that, which like I don't mind it too much, I think it's worth it. But like your sensitivity to rolling shutter is going to be different. Lumix should appreciate their GX line. Yeah, Wayne, I could agree with you, but I think we got to go baby steps, man. Having Lumix do the thing that Sony does and they release 7 cameras in a year, I don't think proves to be a good thing in the long term, which we're seeing now. So I'd say just be patient about that stuff. If you want Lumix to create a camera or you think it should have came out, whatever, I might change my shirt in like 5 minutes because this thing is just a wet towel. And no cover word of the day for the stream. No, we only do it in videos, bro. Only in videos. That's how we keep people retained. I agree with Wayne. Again, yeah, that GX line, it'll get updated eventually, but like, hey, let Lumix cook on their full frame cameras and give them love, because I think there's a higher demand for that than there is Micro Four Thirds. Businesses have to have priority. Hey, what up, 808? I like the rumor sensors soon to be in it. Not sure if it'll be better camera than my FX3, A7 III, but I do like the EVF. A lot of people like the EVF. Now, do you like the EVF in that camera for $3,500? I think that's the question I think I have for a lot of people. The mindset about money and business needs a serious reset in the space. I get I'm an OG, but I can buy whatever I want. But that's because of how I ran my business. Doc, no one's saying that Sony's not running good business. I'm just saying that I don't know where to place things based on the things that are available. Part of business is still going to be competition, which is part of microeconomics, because I think there is a very competitive market right now as far as cameras, where I think it's certifiably okay to ask where this thing is going to fit and whether or not it's going to be valued as high when the other things that exist are cheaper prices or more competitive. Like, the whole conversation is about competition, not so much businesses taking lesser profits, although in order to be competitive, you do have to take like smaller profit margins. Um, but yeah, no, I don't necessarily. I think the question is valid given the price point of what it is. I understand Sony's been around for a long time. I'm financially incentivized to sell you Sony cameras more than any other brand. And I could still objectively say I don't know where to put this camera based on the things that are available. I hope that has given information and tells something. Not sure what I think about the supposed FX2. It really doesn't make sense to me. Would rather see an A7S2 or even a ZVE1. Maybe it ends up being like how the EOS R was, where like it comes out, no one cares, and then like a year later, everyone loves it, and I don't know what happens. Not making sense at all. I'm confused on where the product placement is for business. Cameras drop cheap camera, and we complain what features are missing. They drop feature pack cameras and complain about the price. Houseway. Yeah, but it's the reverse, right? We have an expensive camera with things that aren't different than what's already available. So that's the Houseway is that. The thing is more expensive, but the utility that is being offered is not necessarily, at least in my opinion, or where I'm trying to figure this out, is where it is in comparison to the thing that you just had. It's like, I have a Ford Bronco, a Bronco Sport, and I have the Outer Banks model. If you told me the Badlands was $10,000 more, I would probably ask why. And if the features that make it $10,000 more don't make sense, I'd probably ask why it's $10,000 more, given that those features exist. Not sure the balance of MF to AF uses here, but the LiDAR has been on my camera for every shoot. More people should try. That's fair. I have a lot of PL lenses than I do autofocus lenses. So if you are able to get the Focus Pro, I think it's more available now than it's been in a little while. So I wouldn't discount considering that if you don't like switching camera lenses between your mounts. I've got a great salary right now. I'm saving up to shoot high level spec work. I have an A7 IV. I'm thinking of either to go buy the Red Komodo OG or save money for a Smarty. I feel like you'll be happier with lenses first. It's not to say don't buy the Komodo OG, but it also depends on your lens lineup. But I think maybe you might want to consider lenses before the body. I just see a zebra walk by in the background. That's the most racist thing I've ever read in the stream so far. Lumix is doing great things. I'm just hoping they give us an S1H2 Pixis box style. Sean? Hey, Sean, talking to you. They're not talking to me. When they say Lumix in the comment, they're not talking to me. There's crime in Canada. I thought it didn't exist outside of the US. Yeah, because it's you guys coming up the border to get your DJI drones, robbing everybody. That's what's happening. Real one. Cyrus Perry, what up, Kofi? Hey, you know what, Cyrus? I forgot to mention, because I may or may not be in possession of the Mavic 4. I might hit up the island soon. We'll talk. Just on the stream, why do you kind of hope the FX? So, Bubba, the reason why I hope the FX2, based on the information available, is fake, is because I don't know where to place it for that price point. So I hope that there's more to the story than what is available. And given the track record of rumor sites, and I've said this before, I don't like rumor sites particularly, because they set up these unrealistic expectations based on information that's not complete. I am hoping that there is more to it, and I'm just asking the audience what things you would hope to be more. Terry just texted me Wakanda Forever, and it makes me mad. No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't make me mad. Bro, give me 2 lenses that you would use for the FX6, but also with the FX30. I have both and want something really close. 2 zoom lenses, a 24-70 and a 70-200. I don't know what you're gonna do for wide angles, but those are the 2 lenses. I I did my job. Hey, Terry, I'll play it too. I'll play it too. Don't play with me. I will play that song. Don't play with me. Random one. Anyone wanting a digital Arls but for less, in some ways better optically, go check out the Zeiss Otis, not the mirrorless ones. They are supreme master primes without the 25K price. Also, yeah, I could get with that, but also I would say maybe also take a look at Digital has their Vespa 2s coming out too. That might be a little bit different. A person with Guyanese right turn blood worry about some heat. I'm not worried about heat, but body function is body function. If it's hot, I sweat. Sorry. And not Guyanese are people from Guyana. Ghanese is I don't know. Sony is a Japanese company. These sleepy tactics are now things are done here, or how things are done here. Hence the comment about hedging one camera to protect the other. Actually unacceptable. Yeah, again, that's not. I don't think they're going to change what they're doing, but I think that consumers are going to change what they're doing. Despite the fact that companies overseas are going to operate in a certain way, and it's worked. So there's going to be someone for it. I just want to know who that someone is. Hey, Azrael, what's going on? I loved your video on the S1 too. That was funny. The intro was hilarious. New camera angle. I switched my laptop from one end to the other. Also, there's 89 people in the chat. Also, I guess the dislike bot stopped. That's kind of nice. Most cameras can do everything that you need them to do. So unfortunately, we just like to nitpick brands for the smallest details. At the end of the day, it's just a tool. I could side with that. I also think it's okay to have a conversation about a $3,500 camera that I don't feel like does much more than the $2,200 camera that came out a little bit ago. Debating to ditch all my Sony gear and dip into the Pixis realm. I don't know. It's so tempting. 808 stat. If you need autofocus, I would not do that right now. I'm gonna be real with you. If you are happy in Sony, I say stay there. If you're happy in Sony, stay with Sony no matter what company it is. I think, okay, so tangent. I think the conversation on the FX3 versus the S12 is a little bit confused in the sense that I don't think Lumix was making a camera to switch you from the FX3 to the S12. I think what it was if I had neither of them and I had a budget of say $3,500 and I was looking for a camera that did things that the FX3 can do, and this S12 comes out, the S12 is now on the table as that decision making between the two. Switching cameras, I think every camera company knows that that's entirely insane to do, and it takes a lot of money and you lose a lot. So trying to make a camera that's marketed to switch you doesn't make a lot of business sense. But trying to be in front of you before you make the decision in the first place is a lot more sensible. And to that point, there are going to be more competitive cameras out there. Hey, what up? Nice to see you, man. I went to college in Japan back 4 or 5 years ago. Cheating is a rarity. I'm excited to see this next phase of the camera. When this came out, punching and belief, folks. Yeah, I think what's gonna end up happening is like we were so like I remember when like the stuff in the S1 R2 were like 80 grand in red monstros. Like when I started shooting, like getting a red monster, like that was the top of everything. It was like 8K raw. I don't care how I got it, but like if I was able to be around a red camera, like you see how people, it's funny because like you'll see so many people be like, oh, it's not about the gear, it's about the story. But then like an Arri Alexa's on set and they pose the fuck up on that Arri Alexa to make sure that they get a picture of them holding it. But yeah, like that, a lot of those features costed so much more money not 6 years ago. Now they're all like under $4,000 now. So I am excited for this next kind of phase of cameras because everything's getting a lot cheaper and a lot better. Kofi, you are a very smart guy. I'm curious, what's your educational background? I don't know if I'm a super smart guy, but I do have a degree, an honors degree, I think technically, in financial economics and finance from the University of Guelph. So when I talk about things, it's usually from the lens of supply and demand, which you learn in like just kind of your second year of economics. Most of the things in like what I talk about cameras is from the lens of I was going to get into the financial field and do the economist thing, and I decided not to do that because I hated it. But yeah, that's my background. I have a university degree and honors in, I think I was on Dean's List. I don't know, whatever that paper says. It's not worth much, but in financial economics from the university. The person's upgrading their first, now grown out of camera bot. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. A lot of people that were kind of clutching pearls about their FX3s that they already have, I don't think the S12 or Lumix was talking to you. I think they're talking to people that were in your position 4 years ago when you bought the thing with a better option now. I think it'd be cool if camera companies started making their own external ND systems, kind of like Red, but a lot cheaper. Same, Sean. If you guys at Lumix could engineer up, like whip up a L mount to L mount electronic ND, make it like $1,000, not like 3,500 like the Red does, but make it like $1,000. I think it'd be cool. I could not care less about rolling shutter. Amen. That's why I'm thinking S1R2 for a cam, the S52X for B cam in case overheating of A cam. So I have one clip and one instance so far of when my camera overheated, and I think if Cyrus is still here, he was there. We were shooting in Maui. I think it was like 98 degrees outside, and I like mounted the camera on the back of my Pelican case in the back of a car with all the windows closed and no AC on, and I left it recording for 20 minutes in 8K. It overheated. That's the only time it's happened to me. So I was a Sony dealer for 30 plus years. They don't tend to follow competitors. They tend to move slow, trust, loyalty. Yeah, I've had the same conversation with my own Sony reps, and a lot of the things that they said was like they don't really feel a need to change things up. I will say, though, in that same vein, I don't know if that is a good, sustainable strategy right now, given the competition. That's what I'm trying to say. Again, there's nothing I'm going to say here is going to change what Sony does, but I think the things that Sony does is going to change how people think, because it did positively. It could do so, like it did to get people into the mirrorless cameras in the first place. It could just as easily do that at the opposite direction. We have to be able to look at that at both sides. I love the Panasonic GX8 and my GX85. My son's GX8. Greg, I didn't know any of those cameras existed. I came into, it's right here. This is my first Lumix camera. This is the S52X. So any of the smaller sensor cameras, not super versed in them. Pix is 12K, however, is sitting on the horizon, and it's affordable enough to be a reach purchase for that person looking for the first storytelling, second upgraded camera. I think it's going to end up being a lot of people's first. I guess when the Red Dragon came out, when that was like people's first like proper cinema camera. Excuse me. I think that's going to be the Pixis now. I think the Pixis is taking over like I think it's a Red Dragon. What that camera was in your entry into cinema cameras and stuff. I think it's going to be that at a much, much cheaper price and objectively better. Hey, it'll be interesting to see how it's received. Personally, I'm pretty happy with what I got right now. I won't be upgrading for a while, but always intrigued to see happens. But 3,500, yikes. Again, man, Sony, if you're watching this, I could prove me wrong and prove everybody wrong. I like, as much as, I've been on a few Lumix trips recently, and I think their cameras are really good. And I think they have a lot of upside. I would love I think this is one of the rare occasions where I really hope these rumor sites are so wrong and the whole story isn't told here. Date the body, marry the lenses. I hear that. It's not racist. It's about the heat in your house. Well, why do it got to be a zebra then? There's plenty of animals that are outside when it's hot outside in Toronto. Why do it got to be a zebra then, bro? No crap in Canada as Kobe, but his Bronco too soon. Nah, it's not too soon. My Bronco got broken into like in November. And that is a crime. That is a crime. I hope it's a crime. That's a crime that happened, so it is what it is. Got the Map 4 creator combo. I am on my way to do the same if I make a little bit more money. I just don't want to make any dumb decisions yet, but I will make dumb decisions soon. Blackmagic 6K or for the S12, they're totally different cameras, man. So I'm going to say neither. But if the S12 checks all your boxes, I'm not going to go against my own logic and say if it checks all your boxes, then, you don't have to ask me. You already know what the answer is. Kofi is the king. No, I'm just the uncle. Samuel David, medicine for the super chats. Now I can buy myself food, but Charlie, I'm only just the uncle. I'm not a king. I may be Ofa Kofi, but not king. But medicine, all the same. We lower your key light and crank that ISO. I won't add so much heat. This key light is so far away from me that it's not generating nearly enough heat, bro. It is like it's a 60C. It's not generating any heat. The window is open right here. Yeah, that's not generating nearly enough heat to actually warm up this room. Not even close. But to ask if the dislike bot was here today. It was here at the beginning, and then the second I mentioned it, it stopped. But like it literally went on like a timer every 40 seconds at like 0, 1, whatever. So when I get close to the end of the stream, it'll start going away, or like when the stream does the replay, it'll say like 2. The last stream that we did where I was like 56 or something like that, nobody said anything and then just kept going. And then at the end of the stream when Sean came in, it like started disappearing. And then I checked my analytics and it's like, you have negative 33 likes or negative 33 dislikes, which was weird because that doesn't make sense. But I'm weighing B-Raw versus ProRes. Hang on a second. Oh my goodness. But I'm weighing B-Raw versus ProRes. I really enjoy having full flexibility in color grading, but I'm also trying to make a smart call overall. What would you recommend, especially in a solo creator? If you already have, like, that's the hard part. If it checks all your boxes, and it truly does check all your boxes, there's nothing I could say to you that's gonna put you any other way. But it also depends on what you shoot. But if you're someone that needs and enjoys autofocus, I guess technically they both have autofocus now. I would just keep the camera you have then, I guess. If you have to sell stuff at a loss, because you'd have to sell it at a loss and you have to spend more money. If you've been able to get through on what you have and you don't need, I don't know, that's a tough one. But again, it depends on what you shoot, man. I can't just make that a blanket statement and tell you to buy one thing or sell the other. What are your thoughts on the heat the YouTube filmmakers getting into the titles of the FX3? Boba, if you were in the same threads as I was, you already know my thoughts about it is. But for those of you guys that don't know, there are people that I guess were upset with the idea of comparing and contrasting the FX3 to the S12. To which I'll say, cameras get compared all the time when they come out, literally. And also, a lot of that was just a function of supply and demand. When we were doing live streams, this was like April 21st. This is just before I left to Houston or Austin. You guys were in this chat yelling and screaming and trying to get us to leak the Lumix FX3 because we had made the expectation that this upcoming camera was going to be Lumix's take on the FX3. And then it offered a lot of things the FX3 can offer. Then we made videos comparing and contrasting the thing that you demanded that you thought was going to come out. But now we've become surprised that those comparing contrasts are made. So people are confused because those expectations were very much generated from rumor sites saying that this is going to be the FX3 from Lumix, or whatever the case is. And then when they do something that gives you a better offering at a cheaper price, yes, those things are going to be compared and contrasted. If nobody said anything, and no one ever mentioned the FX3, the comment section would be filled with this or the FX3. It's in my comment section now, and I did make a reference to it. So I couldn't imagine if I didn't. So that all to be said, people are going to compare things all the time because tech doesn't exist in a vacuum. And the idea of the FX3 being a cinema camera and the other one's a hybrid camera, well, my cinema camera that I bought in 2021 didn't have shutter angle or false color or open gate or anamorphic de-squeeze or reasonable stabilization. Or it did have stabilization that was reasonable. It's just not as good as Lumix's. Yeah, I'm going to compare those two things. Whether or not it has cinema line on the badge shouldn't be relevant because people were using GH4s for years. And the A7S3 was used for cinema purposes when it wasn't the FX3 that was out yet. So that's my 2 cents. Honestly, you plan on buying only PL mount lenses from now on? Honestly, same. I kind of don't, like, outside of the S primes that I have, it's just PLs. I don't think it's an FX3 killer. I've been shooting for 6 years now. Sony has some amazing quality, great picture profiles. And match entire lines like the shooting. Yeah, it's still $700 more and does a lot of the same things though. Like the reason why I think people reference it to a killer is, again, if I have neither the FX3 or the S12, how many times, if somebody asked me in that position, would ask me to buy one or the other? And I couldn't, in good faith, tell you to spend $700 more on the premise of, well, you can buy more lenses like the 50 to 150. I'm like, that's a $4,000 lens. That's not reasonable for me to be like, spend $700 because it'll let you spend another $4,000 later. Or buy more cameras because, to the same point as matching with other cameras, there's a color match feature inside of these S1 level cameras where you can just match to each other, no problem. So that's where I'm kind of confused about justifying a price point, because I'm looking at the camera individually. Because most people don't have 4 cameras. They have 1, maybe 2. Um, that's the point that I'm trying to make here. Now, if the FX3 was cheaper or it offered more, conversation is different. But in the context of, should I spend $700 more for this thing or this thing, and I'm telling you all the features that it can do, we wanted people to be honest, so we were being honest, and that's where we landed. So, love you to try. Would love to try out all these crazy cameras, but don't got that kind of money. Still been here rocking the A6600. That's still a great camera. I remember that changed a lot. Let's shoot. I take a selfie with her camera when if I was next to one. I did it all the time. I made a whole video about it. Made 3 videos about it, actually. This dude does have a lot of great features and amazing options as an alternative starters to the Sony ecosystem. Is very advanced in heaps of glass, which Lumix hasn't established yet, in my opinion. I think the question is what lenses are Lumix missing that aren't more money than the Lumix body itself? That if I was somebody going from an A6600 to a $3,000 camera, would realistically purchase. And that's what I mean. It's hard for me to be able to tell you which one that is. So I'm using 2 A6400s and still use them. They're great cameras. I don't think they're wrong cameras, but most people only have 1 or 2. So, oops, racist typo. I've ended up with a Lumix camera instead of Nikon. If this Lumix had happened last year, I mean, yeah. Agree. Rolling shutter is overrated. I think it's over scrutinized on. Kobe, is there a way you do offer educational filmmaking videos on YouTube? Can't wait for you to drop your course. If you were to be, I don't know. I've been toying around back and forth with courses. It feels like there's a lot of negativity around people with courses, so I've just kind of avoided the whole thing. So I haven't really given it a lot of thought. Like, I did at first, and then I just kind of gave up. So I don't know. Alexander Manelli, do you have the Canon C80 still? No, I never owned it. I gave it back a long time ago. I think I said that was a loaner in the video. But yeah, I gave a C80 back a long time ago. Unless you're shooting fighting scenes with crazy camera movement, nobody should have worried about rolling shutter issues. I shoot action and sports on a Pixis, which has rolling shutter too. Like, I shot a commercial with Keon Coleman from the Bills. Commercials and fine, clients were happy. Still had rolling shutter. They never mentioned it. And we were shooting like 1 wheels and handheld and stuff too. Waiting 5 years for an FX camera and seeing mostly 2022 camera specs. Hope there's really more than what we saw. Yeah, that's where I'm kind of at too with that. To be fair, the distance between the A7S II and the A7S III was around the same time. And they delivered when they did. Do you think the Blackmagic Pocket will get 8K, even 12K? If so, would you like it? I don't think so. I think Pixis is going to be kind of what they're going to rock with for a little bit. I don't think so. Like, if I have the Pixis 6K, I have other Blackmagic cameras as well. I don't think I need a pocket body, which also has it. Just because for my workflow, like, I only have 2 hands and 2 eyes. So I don't think it'd be worthwhile for me to have hot like Africa. It's not nearly as hot as Africa, but it's very hot in here. How do you feel about Nikon and Red's future in filmmaking world? Debating on getting Komodo X as a Z8 owner. Nikon's existed for 110 years. I think they're going to do just fine. And I think they've also acquired a lot of IP, which I think is going to be really good as well. I also want to, like, I don't know. It might be a hot take. I don't think we're going to have a dominant camera body anymore. I think you're going to have it very spread out because it's so competitive. And I think that's what's going to end up happening. I think what's going to end up happening is you're not going to have what's the best camera. It's going to be, why do you have the camera that you do? At least I hope that's where it goes, because I don't think there's a clear winner anymore, because even now people will justify, re-justify, or, you know, they'll make arguments as to why their camera is the best, and you end up figuring out that everyone's super different. Nikon ZF plus M mount, gang. You're right. You need a fan. Robert, tried a fan. The fan blows more hot air around this room. It made it worse. So I've opened a window that is directly in front of me, and that is it. Although it's not looking good. It's not looking good. Get Kofi to 100K subs. Would love that. If you haven't subscribed to the channel and you've been in this live stream for an hour, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm sure everyone here is already subscribed, right? BMD added autofocus to capable cameras. Hopefully that means everything going forward will have it. Greg, I think they said that they were going to add it to the other cameras. I think the only bottleneck that was they were making a Pixis 12K while they were adding the autofocus, so there was only so many resources to go around. As a tuber who covers tech gaming and now switching to the space, Sony fumbled this generation's gaming consoles. With this strategy, allow Xbox to offer more value. I hope they don't repeat here. We'll see, man. Again, this is I still want to know what people would love to see out of this camera. And also like at 3,500 for this guy if you're copying. Forgive me if you talked about this, but what did you think of Sinners? I thought it was an amazing movie, and I was working on a video to talk about Sinners, but I think I'm going to wait until the Jordan Peele movie Him comes out, which is a horror sports movie, and I think I'm going to have a video on both of those. It feels like people want a camera to do more work instead of people have the camera doing the work. I could see how that feels that way. I think also just people want to either justify purchasing, not purchasing, or nobody wants to feel like they spent a lot of money and they made the wrong decision. Sony's been unusually active with firmware update recently, but still no such for the A6700 to make us poor people happy. And Angela, that the A6700 is also, it's not cheap, bro. It's not cheap. It's cheaper. It's more affordable, I guess, but it's not cheap. What if you did a course to test run? Channel members? That's true. It would take me a couple months to do it, but that might not be. I don't have channel members. I just realized that I don't have any channel. Should I get channel members? Is that a thing? I don't know. Put a thumbs up or like leave it down there if I should get channel members. I don't know what to put in them, but I'm willing to hear ideas because I genuinely I thought about it and then never did anything. Rocking the GH7 and the G7. The G7 is for YouTube and the GH7 is the moneymaker. Hey, not knocking that. Not defending Sony, but many spaces there will be people who happily pay more for the brand they consider class. Fair market value is correct if they're not having problems selling. Yeah, I'm not discounting that, but again, to the same point, I think it's okay to still question it. If Kofi and Cam were to collab on a dream filmmaking project, what would it be and why? Cam, if you're still in the chat, yeah, you tell me. Probably something in the desert, not gonna lie. Did I Lily's the Nikon Z6? What does Nikon need to improve? Markman, I don't know what that means. Try that one again. I don't know what that means. And I'm never buying $400 premium shirt, but we'll drop $3,500 on a 40-year-old whiskey. Yes, Doc, I'm not disagreeing with you, but if I dropped $3,500 on a 40-year-old whiskey and my aunt asked me, Kofi, why would you do something like that? I would probably have to explain it and she might not understand. That's us. We're the African aunties asking why one would do that. And because I want to, I'm like, cool. But as someone who's going to be asked about this, whether or not I think it's a reasonable decision for most people, it would be hard for me to say yes. Or I'd be lying. Not to nitpick, but the Sony FX2 includes an XLR top adapter, whereas the S12 does not have to buy it, which is separately. So is the price difference really only $200? Even if it was still $200, okay. Well, Brian, I'll go with you here. If the price is going to be $200, or leave the FX2 the exact same price, because there is no FX2B. You can't get it without the top handle. So you have to equalize it somehow. We'll just give the S12 the 32-bit float audio module as well, because they have one too. And now we're in a conversation where it's $200 more, and I have 32-bit float where the FX2 top handle doesn't have that. So yeah, the difference would be $200, but then you still have to combat with the fact that now I'm 32-bit enabled. I have 6K open gate with all the other shooting modes, RA log C, the ability to store 39 LUTs in it with built-in false color, an active camera matching tool that's built inside of it, and all the other stuff that the S12 has with a new body, and still the tally lights and all the other stuff. So yeah, it would be $200, but then now there's more things that it's stacked up against, which would even make the question harder. Why would you do it? So even if we did it that way, and we made things unequal on both parts, you're still up on the S1 too. How do you feel about the small HD Indy 7? I'm on the fence if I should pull it on. Hang on a second, Devin. You mean to tell me you got a $1,400 FX30 and you about to buy a $1,400 monitor? Bro, save your money. Go get a budget monitor, get something that'll work, get something that's accurate, something that's bright, and rock that. that's a lot of coin to drop on an FX30 to put a $1,500 monitor on it. Unless small HD went down in price, because they might have. So I could be wrong, but that's a really expensive monitor. Or does Lumix offer the XLR adapter at that price? No, they offer it separately, so it wouldn't be in a kit. So even if it wasn't a kit, it would still probably be a little bit cheaper because you're buying them together. But even if you did that, the XLR module that Lumix offers to make things fair offers more than the top handle out of the Sony FX3, which would still cause a mismatch in features to price point. Because even if the price point is $300 more, cool, is the $300 price tag worth losing all of the things that the S1 II can do? And me being completely honest, no, I don't think it is. Now, if the FX3 is cheaper than the S1 II with the XLR handle, we have a different conversation. But that's not currently what it is. So we've definitely got to the point where tools are no longer the issue. People need to see that there's a sucky period apart from the process. Yeah, at this point, we're just talking. We're talking smack to each other about cameras at this point, and it's all fun. It's all love, man. At the end of the day, the S1 II camera is the camera of the year. Moving on, Kofi, when you getting the Aperture XT52? I don't know, bro. At this point, when am I going to get any new lights? I want some new stuff. I will give it to Newer. I've used a 600 watt light quite a bit in the last couple of months. Very, very, very solid light for what it is. And half the price of the Aperture variant that does a lot of the same things outside of magenta green shift. What do you think about Alcine's 2 cinema cameras they're producing? I think they're cool. I think what's happening now is I think brands are starting to get aware of this. The longer you wait for drops of your camera, the harder it is to justify the price point when they drop, because most of the time the price points on certain cameras, now that it's getting really competitive, are all going to be compared and contrasted to each other. And I don't remember what the Alcine camera is called, how much it is, but I think it's solid. I think because I think everything's in the package for around the same as the Komodo, the original Komodo. I think it's super solid. I couldn't see a use for it given my current workflow and the things that I have. If someone says, hey, test it for a day and let you know, but I would only be able to talk about the camera from the perspective of someone who doesn't have a cinema camera at all. Yeah, man, Doc, all love, bro. But yeah, no, I think the reasonability of asking questions about stuff in this camera market, I think, is very warranted, especially when we're talking about people's money and stuff. But yeah, I understand. Japanese business is going to be Japanese business. Nikon is a Japanese business, and they lost a lot of market share doing a lot of things like that. What is the best way to get experience on a film set? I'm very interested, but don't know how to go about it. Total noob. I don't know how to answer that question in 2025. I think that's going to be a little bit different than when I was coming up, when video production was so high in demand. I would say work a lot on your own spec work and then start reaching out to people to have experiences on set. Because I'll say, as somebody who brings people on, that's the first thing I look at when people reach out, is when they're like, oh, I really want to shoot like BTS or be a PA. First thing I'm going to do is look at your work, because it gives an indication of work ethic, gives an indication of set etiquette. If you have great work, generally speaking, you have a lot of great set etiquette and work etiquette, or work etiquette and work ethic. So I'd say sharpen your own sword, and it's very easy to swing later. All right, bro, I got to go back to work. It was good watching you. See you later in the Discord. What's going on? All right, I'll see you later. Seems like numbers have worked very well for Brandon stuff. I'm sure he'd have some good insight. Yeah, I'll ask Brandon, because I haven't really thought about it. Something Afro-Indigenous for sure. I think if we did a film on Black cowboys, like post 30s cowboys, I think that'd be fire. And I think me and Cam could pull it off pretty decent. Got to bring the next Sony event to Evil Empire. It's a drive, but it's worth the drive. Josh, I've been barking up Sony's tree to have these workshops at anywhere else but TMU, and they've kept saying no. Like I was willing to put up my own money to get the location. They still said no. So when we're at the event on the 24th, every single one that any of you guys that are going to be at the TMU event for Sony, and myself, Chris Brockhurst, I think Leela, Nicole Shapiro, and a couple other people are going to be there as well. Bring it up to them. Tell them, hey, I'm willing to go to Hamilton to Evil Empire. I'm trying to see something. I don't get it. Why would they release a $3,500 USD FX2 873 if they already have released an FX3 at $3,800? Novashant, I don't know, and that's why I'm hoping that we're all wrong. I'm hoping that we're wrong about most things. Like I'd love if it's 32-bit float, perfect. A7 IV sensor, I thought it was cool. Like I thought, like as a hybrid camera, it's a cool sensor. Cinema camera, don't know that much if the 4K 60 is cropped. It does feel like old traumas for coming back into a camera, and I'd otherwise just use an A7 IV or an A7 C2. I don't know, but yeah, I hope it's not that price. I don't think it's that price. You know what? I'll say it. I don't think it's that price. I think it'll be cheaper. I think what will happen is, like, you know, when some of these leaks and stuff come out or whatever the case might be, we're usually not totally right when it does happen. And I think that's what's going to happen. We're not 100% on this release, just like we weren't in anything else that's come out. We've always learned something new that makes the camera a lot better, or sometimes worse. I don't think we got all the information. So just need to show some love to Cam Mackey for his intro for the S12 video. Really creative guy. Also, can't wait to see him do embargoes for hair products. Hey, ask him to take his hat off. He might not be doing none of that. Bro, that was bad, Graham. I meant to say, did you like the Nikon Z6 III, and what does Nikon need to improve on? I still have my Z6 III. It's in my backpack. I was going to do a video on open gate, and I was going to show everybody that like every camera sensor is usually about 3x2 except for reds. But I think they did a really good job with the Z6 III. Keep in mind, man, like the Z6 III, the price point that it is, and still being able to do that stuff makes a lot of sense. I think what ends up happening though is when you compare and contrast to, again, another camera that has the same sensor, it would be the same compare and contrast to like the FX3 to the FX6. The body differences are going to make the camera more expensive. They've done that, but the ZVE1 and the FX3 are $2,000 apart, mostly because of the body differences, right? And those capabilities. The same thing to be true about the Z6 III and the S1 II. But I think in terms of like getting stuff to improve, I don't necessarily know if they need to improve on it, but I would love to see them use a lot more of that red tech to their advantage. But also that takes a long time. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but camera development takes like 3 to 4 years to develop. So if they only bought red, last year? Still 2 years away before you start seeing stuff from Nikon. It's crazy because the Lumix S1H still holds up to this day. Pray we get an S1H or a new Varicam long shot. Sean, hey, he's talking to you. He's talking to you. A lot of cameras still hold up from like early days. My buddy has the S1H original from like when it first dropped, and I showed him the S1 II when it came out, and he's like, "Yo, can I borrow that?" So it's gonna be fun to see him kind of spin on it. Starting to get into cinema glass. Would like a wireless follow focus that's easy to operate behind in front of the camera. Any Rex, ease of use is top of mind. Logan, I have they're too far away. Actually, my first AC bag is at the bottom of the drawer, but I was using these guys. These are the DJI, like the lighter wireless transmission system, the SDRs. Now, SDR doesn't stand for standard dynamic range. It stands for the type of radio signal that it uses. Let me see that. There we go. Stands for the type of radio signal that it uses. These are really, really small. They're relatively cheap. Latency is not the best, which is kind of a factor of the price. But this works really well as a wireless transmitter. It also connects to your phone wirelessly, so you don't need an SDI or HDMI for it, but you can get SDI or HDMI for it. And I also use a DJI hand wheel. So if you check out the film that we did in Italy, the behind the scenes for that, I use the DJI hand wheel for that. So that's what I use. Sensei Kofi. Oyo gozaimasu. Please recommend a budget-friendly ND filters. I use the FX30. I'm looking to shoot. Thanks, sir. I would say go with variable if you're looking to save money, but I would also say in the same breath, don't cheap out on ND filters. You're going to be real mad if you do that because it is not going to look good. Feels like cameras may have reached a point where there's only room for marginal improvement. Except lighting, audio. Probably audio. Audio is probably the next one. I would love to see camera companies have lenses with a lot of character that also have autofocus. Like, I would love the idea of DZO's like, cool, we'll put our glass in autofocus lenses. And Cook saying, hey, we'll put our glasses in autofocus lenses. I think that that's gonna be the next like really cool thing. Lights, I'm pretty. There's not a lot that a lot of lighting companies could do. I'd love to see more panels from other companies, but like nothing that doesn't already exist. I think some cages can be a little easier to use. I'm just nitpicking at this point, man. Like, there's not a lot. There's not a ton. If you could flex the craziest rig for a video/film, what kit would you go with? Are you basing this off of something I already have or something that I would like to have? Because those are two very different questions. And also, like, if it's something that I would like to have, it's low-hanging fruit, because it'd be something like an Arri Alexa or something like that. Peace, Kofi. I do these. What if I shot a commercial for Black Pieces? Well, if you check out my stuff. Yeah, IJ Rogers. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram. I think it's just I am Kofi Boa. Send me a link. I'll look at that later on. They're for sure stubborn, and the young bucks with good ideas cannot speak up. Sometimes OGs have to retire, die before companies can change simple things like Sony flip out screen. Yeah, man, you'd be so like in corporate environments, man. They are so rigid in like things they want. But also, like, there's a lot of young guys coming into the stuff. Like, I think the reason why Lumix is doing so well is because Sean is a lot closer to the age of the people that he talks to. So, it's easier to be able to translate things back and forth. So, like, for example, and this is where, like, I gained a lot of respect for Lumix from this. And I don't know if anyone's told the story, but when we were working with the S1R2 in Norway, the autofocus was not good. It was weird. It was clunky. It was focusing all over the place. And immediately we're like, hey, Sean, we have a problem. This autofocus is just not working. The face tracking is doing dog crap. We're not happy. This man had a firmware update in 36 hours. He's like, cool, let me talk to the engineering team. We didn't go home yet. And they're like, make sure you download the firmware update for the autofocus. Like that, we weren't home yet when that happened. And that's where I'm like, okay, that's really cool, because if you were to do that in any other company, there would be like multiple people you'd have to talk to. And sometimes things get lost in translation. I was really impressed with that. I don't think Sean knows that, but I think that was for me. That was like, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm more than happy with putting a little bit more of my workflow into Lumix because of how quickly they can turn around fixes for things. I have like 12 or 13 members on mine. Nothing major though. Need to build it out. Yeah, maybe. Don't know what I would do for a members live stream. You know what? How many of you guys are actively trying to build channels yourselves? Because I think a live stream that would kind of go into that, because I feel like general population don't really care about making these kind of YouTube channels. But maybe it's a members only where we talk about that, because I do more YouTube than I freelance a lot more nowadays. So I think that'd be cool. I think you were trying to say Chale Agrezzo, but I think your autocorrect caught you slipping there, Fev. That was an old pride fight between Sony and Panasonic by bosses. I feel like if I was to make like an anime version of what happened between Sony and Panasonic, I feel like they used to be like best. If you've ever watched Naruto, near the end of the series where they talk about like Hashirama versus Madara, this is a very big anime callback. I feel like the story of Lumix and Sony and Panasonic was exactly how Hashirama and Madara ended up becoming enemies. Andre, what up? Welcome to the stream. I might be on for a little bit more. I told myself I'd get off at like 5:30. There's a small ND for 800 right now. Is that the best monitor I can get? I mean, small HD is a very, very good monitor. Again, this is like almost the same thing as the S1 too. It is the best monitor. Small HD does make the best monitors, yes. However, if I could drive a car 200 miles an hour, but I only drive in places that go up to 60, do you need the best monitor or do you need the fastest car? That's just, especially when you're like, if you're on the FX3, I'm assuming it's not been very long that you've been shooting. I'm basing that just off of budget, not necessarily off of the camera. Um, you might be able to save more money and get exactly the uses of what you would use a monitor for versus spending all that money on a small HD. What's your favorite mic on a boom for filmmaking? And also your favorite all-in-one key light? Um, All-in-one key light that I don't have that I want is the Godux has like this 800 panel. It's huge, big soft light, and I want it. I want one. Godux won't do a collaboration, so I'm just gonna buy it later. But I want that. Like if I want any light, that's gonna be it. I want like a big 4x4 panel, big one. Boom mic. I will cry every day about this, but I had a Sennheiser MK416, and I've lost it on a shoot, lost it on a dock shoot. Never seen it again. I have the MKE 600 now, but every time I hear that audio, I think about that the MK416, and I get really sad at the fact that I no longer have it. So that's my favorite mic. Specs were accurate. What price would you think would be fair for the FX2? How much is the A7C2? Like $2,000? Say like $23, $22.99. It's like $2,400. Yeah, $2,400. I won't be surprised. I would go like anywhere between like, I don't know, 23 to 2,600. 35 is a lot. Like 35, I'm like, I don't know, man. 3,000 might be a bit of a stretch because I don't because I don't have all the information. It's hard for me to put a price point on it, but what's being offered right now, what it sounds like is what I get as a fan and 32-bit float. I don't know if I can make that more than $500 more than what's currently offered at the same sensor. Unless, okay, hang on. Also, somebody answer me this. Am I missing something? Does it like what are the between the A7C2 and this FX2? What are things that I've missed? Just so I could answer that question accurately. Because if there's something I'm missing, then I'm just being inaccurate for no reason. Does the Pixel still worth the hype and image quality a Cine standard? Fev, I'm gonna tell you this right now. We shot a feature on the Pixels, 2 of them actually. There's no such thing as Cine standard. It doesn't exist. If the story is good and the images look good, then it's Cine standard, especially cinema level. I guess in this way is if you can put it on a big screen, it's probably cinema. But yeah, no, in terms of like standards for cinema, especially when you're not doing like large distribution studio stuff, anything goes, man. You can get away with anything that shoots 4K 10-bit for most people. Especially when you put it up on a screen, 4K 10-bit, you're fine. I watched a bunch of Mark's, like those documentaries I've helped Mark work on, not in a serious capacity, but I've helped out like here and there with Mark Bones documentaries, and they were on 4K 10-bit, played on a big screen, did just fine. 4K 60 crop in the A7C2, but not in the A7 IV, but I believe it's the same sensor. Wait, no. The A7C2 and the A7 IV both have 4K 60 crop. But even then, yeah, maybe that's tough, man. I'm gonna say $26.99 if I'm guessing, because at $3,000, because like then you have cameras like a Nikon Z6 III that's at launch $2,400 that maybe doesn't have a viewfinder and some of the other things, but is on sale for which might be a price drop, it's $2,000 now, so it's kind of tough. But I'd say like anywhere between 23 and 26. Like to have, there you go. If cameras had improved way to do in the cinema film emulation, what? That would be a huge upgrade. If cameras had an improved way to do camera film emulation, a huge upgrade. Built-in LUTs, man. Built-in LUTs. That Lumix lab got 39 of them, Johns. You just got to figure out which one works for you, bro. You're gonna have to go back about an hour and change, my boy. Love that level of speed. That's what got me in love with Ecamm. The devs are like that. Yeah, that was honestly, I was very, very impressed on how quickly Panasonic engineers do stuff, because it's crazy. Like, I can't say that probably without getting me in trouble, but there was something that was very impressive in terms of a turnaround time between a decision that was like a little bit after the S1R2 in terms of making the S1 II. There was a decision that had to be made that I thought was going to be a decision that would take like 8 months. It was much faster. Dev remembers John trying to level up. Hey, you know what? I might think about it, bro. I think your responsiveness from Lumix is a lot of why you see extra frustration, criticism with Sony. Hopefully Sony sees that and adapt. Yeah, I could say that. Oh yeah, that's true. Um, and again, these are things that like there are things that are in this S1 too that we had been asking from Sony 2 condos ago. Never saw them. Right. But yeah, I think what's gonna be you're gonna hit hard and hit fast in the next couple years. But also, again, like I'm not super concerned with like market share stuff because I'm not financially invested into any of these companies. It'd be super conflict of interest if I was. So in terms of like which who has what market share, I don't care because I don't necessarily think that should be indicative of the price. I think what the camera should do, what it can do, should be indicative of the price, and then let the market decide whether or not that's worth it. Companies can set the price, consumers set the value. Um, but I do think that it's very impressive how quickly Lumix has said, "Oh, you don't like that? Cool." Like so, for example, object tracking was a gigantic question on the S12. A lot of people said they don't like the way the object tracking works. Gerald said there's a couple workarounds he had to do. That got sent to Lumix, and we got a message from Sean yesterday being like, engineers are already on it. I don't know what other company that's going to do that, and I hope they do, and I hope there is one. I hope I'm wrong. Again, this whole stream, I'm hoping I'm wrong. Jumping in a plane for ECAM HQ, D squeeze added for Anamorphic. Peace, brother. Mahalo. Hey, Doc, you fly safe, bro. But this is what I mean about being quick to the punch when, when when you want something from a certain company, they get right on it and they start working, right? So, Alan, I don't swear much on my YouTube channel, but get that shit out of here. I don't swear much on this channel. I try not to. My mom watches this stuff. Get that shit off of my timeline right now. Get that off my comment section. Y'all be blocked for that kind of foolishness. Let's see. You know what this guy is? This guy right here, he has an FX3. He's mad at me. That's why. He has an FX3. That's what it is. Doc, you're a savior. You came anamorphic. Yeah, about to make that S12 worth a little bit more money with that anamorphic on it. Camera market shares move really slowly. Canon holds first place even with Sony domination in the last 5 years. These new cameras won't change anything on a macro level, only for us individually. Yeah, I could agree with that. And also, like, what everybody else is buying in terms of market share doesn't impact the fact that if I need a camera that does certain things today, I'm looking for the best deal to be able to get those things done. If you were starting your own documentary, what would your story be and why? I would have the most boring story because I grew up a suburban kid with immigrant parents. Then I did well in school and I played sports, and now I do YouTube. Like it would, I guess maybe there's a story in like the stereotypical view of somebody that has African parents and stuff like that, or like is like I'm a black person, so I mean there's its own set of stereotypes. I think it'd be interesting to go into that, but I think the moral of the story would be that like we're people that are born and have normal lives too, and don't have to follow every stereotype, right? So, holiday. All gear is a bit above my pay grade, but this stuff is perfect for background listening while organizing my studio. Let the knowledge sleep into the back of my head stored for later. Yeah, man. Also what I would like to say, like what's cool about like a lot of this type of content too, is that YouTube, these videos are gonna be up forever. So whenever you decide like a year and a half down the line and you're like, hey, you know what? I do kind of want that S1R2. You could just watch all the videos we already put up and then you could have that information at the ready. Like again, for some of you guys that thought like, oh, Kobe's switched teams and he's with Lumix now. My FX30 videos probably are watched more than they ever have been. And the idea for that is that you upfront load all of those videos up at the front. Like you upfront those videos so people could watch it that have got the FX30, not at the time when you made the video, but 2 years later where people are getting it now. Like I have people commenting on those videos today saying like, hey, there was someone here that was saying I just bought my FX30. I've learned so many things. And I'm like, perfect. That was the point, is not for you guys to run and buy a camera right this second today. It's in 18 months when you've been working a little bit, and you're in the budget, you're looking around, you're not sure what to get. That's what these are for. It just so happens that, there's a lot of incentive to get them done sooner. So, do you have a random collection of themed items that people may not know, like anime figures, sock collection, mugs? No. No. I thought about getting Yu-Gi-Oh cards again. Don't really know what happened with that, but I have a collection of camera gear. That is what it is. That is a collection of theme stuff. It is camera gear that a lot of it's getting sold. A lot of these are loaners. In a perfect world, want to take everything down to like what camera is for production, what camera is for YouTube, what camera is for photos and fun. The hardest part about that is I don't know which one to make which. So I keep all of it like an idiot. Zolar and iFootage are both killing it for budget lights that put out incredible quality of light. Christopher, you are correct. I don't know if iFootage has come out with a higher wattage light than 300 because we used their new range on No Vacancy, which was a film that we shot a couple years ago, and those were great. But like if you were in daylight, we didn't have anything. So. Do we hear dual bass for the ISO? No, but I'm assuming if it is going to be, again, if this information is correct, I'm assuming it's the same as the A7 IV. I wouldn't know. AJ never on PC. Never. That's hard. That's hilarious. Similar to the Amarin lights or new aperture Blair system. I haven't heard of the aperture Blair system. I'm not caught up with lights. I got what I got. I also got things stolen, and then I just never revisited again. Honestly, this doesn't make that much sense to me. I think hopefully we'll get more information, so it'll make more sense. It's kind of, you know what it's like? If any of you guys are Marvel fans, they announced that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be Doctor Doom. We are all confused because we watched Robert Downey Jr. die in Endgame. So we now have to just wait for a really good reason as to why Robert Downey Jr. is Doctor Doom. And we just don't have those answers yet. I honestly hope the entire rumor is fake to catch out snitches. Something a lot more interesting would be an FX30 and an FX6 body. Daniel, I think the problem with putting an FX30 and an FX6 body is market demand and price. Because then, like, if you make it, so if the FX3 to 6 is $2,000, $2,100, and the FX30 to whatever this body would be another $2,000. There would be an argument that just getting an FX3 makes more sense. But maybe, I don't know. I don't think there's as much of a demand as for an ENG Super 35 camera outside of just I want built-in NDs, to which I don't know if anybody is going to spend I'd say it'd be $36.99 if I'm going to guess. I don't know if $36.99 for an FX30 sensor and an FX30 sensor and FX6 body. I don't know if it would have as much traction as we think it would. I think the problem is Sony relies on the Sony tax where folks are willing to pay more money due to the perceived higher value. I think the market is changing that impression currently. Yeah, I mean, I guess Leica does the same thing. Hasselblad does the same thing. Like other brands do the same thing. It's just, I wouldn't be surprised if people are asking why you were doing those things. So, more important question, go to anime right now. I'm on Windbreaker right now, and it's kind of interesting. It's a weird turn of the season. Our main character is discovering what non-binary people are, which is interesting for the theme of the show, which is just fights all the way through. Fire Force is currently going on right now. There are so many people honking and so many sirens. Fire Force is going on pretty strong right now. Well, I think those are the only two I'm watching right now, and I think the Demon Slayer movies start coming out soon. I think like in a month or so. Bro, here we go again. No, it's not here we go again. I'm just saying, Reza, you know what? You're here. You'll stand on Sony. You'll stand 10 toes on Sony even if you're wrong. I'm just kidding. If this FX2 thing is real, Reza, I'm gonna ask you, don't get yourself in trouble because I don't want you to get in trouble. Like the whole point of this is not to shit on Sony. If the FX2 exists and it is $3,500, who would it be for? And if you're somebody who is an existing A7C2 and A7 IV user, what would make you go from one to the other? Hattie, I feel like people often miss the fact that it's not just Panasonic putting out every competitive cameras. It's the fact that L-mount has Blackmagic, Panasonic, Leica, and all creating L-mount bodies. Yes, also DJI has an L-mount as well. Let's not forget. I have my Rona 404D right here. That's an L-mount too. And I think that is kind of the thing too, right? I think someone made a comment about like Panasonic not having an upgrade path. And I think the argument for that is that at the current junction in time, they don't need to make every single camera right now as a user, not necessarily as a company, because obviously Lumix isn't making money off of Blackmagic sales. But if I'm an L-mount user, I don't need Panasonic to make a Pixis. I'll just get a Pixis. So that's something you got to keep in mind too. Is Shot still here? I hope he saw Zach's video. Blacking out the Lumix logo. Love to see an S5, an S1 2X blacked out. But I'm sure it being extra. That's true, but also what shooting modes would you get in it? Because the S5 2X was a whole like ProRes and 422 stuff, so. Is that miswriting? No, it's not, Wrath. Might have to catch up. Can't switch to movies at the beginning of infidelity. Guess what? Camera company ain't gonna divorce you. They can't take half your stuff. So. Chalet a de joke. I currently don't have a camera, but getting to the S12 job. Yeah, that's fair. But Alan, yeah, no, we will not bring no Nigerian jollof here. That does not to escape the fact that will not be here. What's this about losing AF tracking in the SHILL 1.2 connects to an external monitor code? It does not sound like a good feature for most work. It is above 60 frames a second, and as somebody who shoots quite a lot and not 60 frames a second and shoots in 24, yes. However, I will say that I could bet money that that will probably be fixed and adjusted before any of the FX line cameras outside of the FX6 gets shutter angle and doesn't brick the camera. But also, you didn't answer my question. Even anyone that's confused about this FX2 thing, I want you to understand the playback like an hour. It'll be explained there. Keep the ZF S12 Pixis in the 12K. Ooh, but I have this GFX 50R that's not leaving this house. It's not going anywhere. Marvel uses the multiverse to explain everything. You know what? That's gonna be an explanation for the whatever this camera is. It's multiverse. It's multiverse. The paycheck for RDJ is fat, mofo. I'd come back reincarnated too. That's you're right. You're right. Yeah, okay, so Andre explained it, so for everyone to understand. Again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope there's more to it. I don't know. See if I like real joke. Anybody here have any experience with the Panasonic? Whoa, no. I'm learning from playing around Lumix cameras. I have no idea what Lumix cameras are available outside of their full frame line. I have no clue. And the GH7, because I used the GH7 before. I don't know jack about Lumix, nothing. Speaking of anime, you on that Fire Force? Fire Force, I will say right now, has the best sound design in anime, bar none. Easily. Best sound design. You can't even kind of top it. Quick questions, bro. I wish I had the time with you, but I agree with all your points. It has to make sense from a value perspective and offering solutions to current pain points. Yes, and Sony has always been a very good company at solving problems. I don't know which one this solves, and I'm struggling to find out which one this solves. Because if the thing that it solves is that you get an FX body that you can take pictures on, I don't know if that's a good enough reason for $3,500. That's... I want to, when I get off the stream, I want to be so wrong. I want someone to come up like... Sony pulls me in an NDA meeting and says, hey, Kofi, shut up. It's going to be cheaper. It's going to have other things in it. I would be happy if that was there. Right now, at the information available, I don't know. I can't tell you. Sony FX2 is Sony's answer to the Lumix S9. Kind of feels like it's an FX. It kind of feels like the S9, doesn't it? A little bit. I mean, this one has a viewfinder, though, so. Why don't more Cine lenses have swappable camera mounts? If they don't autofocus, why not? Because up until this point, people had just bought cinema lenses in PL. That's why. Like a lot of cinema lens companies had made PLs because only people didn't buy mirrorless mounted cinema lenses till like last year. So a lot of these companies that had made them, there was no point at the time. Now there is. So there wasn't, to be fair, there wasn't a market enough to do it, to design the lenses to have swappable mounts up until like 12 months ago. Talking with the Small HD the other day. How do we feel about a camera control for the... I mean, it'd be great if it has it. I mean, as long as it's free. As long as it does not cost you extra money to have that camera control. 4 cameras is still good. I believe you, but I have a deeply ingrained relationship with my GFX 50R. It won't leave my house. So it's going to be 5 cameras. I think it'd be interesting if Nikon made a cine line and made cameras similar to the Z6 or Z8. Have a false colors. No top handle. I'm very curious to see what Nikon does. I do also think that because keep in mind, now that they've bought Red, they also have they own all of Red's IP and all of their other resources. They can manufacture Red sensors now. Just keep that in mind. It might not be a Z6 or a Z8 sensor because they can just make their own. They don't have to wait for Sony to buy them. Who do you think the FX2 would be for? Andre, I don't know. That's like I genuinely don't know. I think it's so niche that like it's above my comprehension, so I don't know. Uncle V's back at it after 10 days. Yeah, man, I had my birthday coming up. This launch came up. I had videos I was recording. I was doing stuff. Did you watch Solo Leveling or Hell's Paradise? I've watched Solo Leveling. Hell's Paradise having that one's a hard one to get to do. I'm not really into Hell's Paradise, if I'm gonna be honest with you. Solo Leveling though, that should fire. I'm with you on that. Reza, just to offer some insight internal convos, the main reason why we don't have OpenGate on Alpha yet because Sony needs to rewrite firmware in order to enable it. They could hurry up. I'm just saying. Hey, if you could tell Sony that to hurry up with the firmware updates and don't brick the camera, we could have different conversations. Again, my opinion will change based on current information. Currently, Sony ain't making that OpenGate thing, and that's a really good first step. And also, to be fair, with all this S12 FX3 talk, maybe we bully Sony into being great. Maybe all this trash talk about the FX3 might make Sony make the best camera they've ever made. Who knows? At this point, I think Lumix is on the path for indie filmmaking. The cost performance is too valuable for people to pass up. I feel like Lumix right now is a black magic of mirrorless cameras, if that makes any sense. Do you have any extra cameras? I'm 13 and I started photography in church, but I don't have my own camera. Well, then, my friend Toby, you're going to have to start working because I'll be real with you. I don't know you. I'm not sending cameras out to strangers that are mine. Sorry. If I'm being real with you, I would say you have to work like everybody else. Can you explain to me the naming for Lumix cameras? I get the Sony FX camera video features. The FX. No, I can't explain them because I don't know them. I would only assume that the S1 series is going to be the same as the A7 series because like there's the S1H, that would be the A7S line, I guess. And then there's the R, which is the R, and then there's like no letter, which is the no letter. So I would assume that those are those. And then the S5 series, I could only guess is I guess now would be like the same as like the ZV line, I guess. And then the S9 series, shit. Yeah, I don't know. When's my birthday? My birthday is April 24th. My birthday actually was while we were in Austin, Texas for the Lumix launch. He's juggling anime, Sony, Lumix, Gillette flights, Nikon, Fuji, Bronco cars, and the heat all at once. Absolutely. We're still waiting for our super to be able to come and fix a stupid AC. And until then, I look like a glistening pig. And you guys have not only stayed, all 80 of you, for about 2 hours, but you give me money to do it. So, do you realistically see Sony open cameras? Curious to know your thoughts. Yes, I see them realistically doing it if we bully them hard enough into doing so, because they will release cameras when bullied and when threatened. That's where we got the ZVE line. When we started talking about saying like, hey, other cameras are making good vlogging cameras, they started saying, hey, you know what, we might want to consider doing that. So we might get it eventually. I just don't know when that's going to be. And I don't know if other things are going to come out that are better options by the time that comes out. Then again, I don't think there's a big rush, man. Let me offer a very obtuse reason for the existence of the FX2. It's a stopgap to keep people from leaving who already left Sony full-frame lenses, like people who never bought an FX3 or a 7 IV. Brad, I could get with you on that one, but at $3,500, I don't know. That's the hard part for me. If it were $2,500 or so, it'd be a little tempted. The FX3 was $500 more than the A7S3. True. So the FX2 city line being, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I could get Thomas. I'm right behind that. I asked ChatGPT what? I feel like there's more to this message. At what point do you think sensor will surpass? I will be real with you if I'm going to say that. Alan, I think that's already happened. I think that's already happened. If I'm being real with you, I think it's already happened. Or I think there's things that match it now. And again, there's other reasons why you buy an Arri Alexa, but it's what 1.4 stops the dynamic range off between the S12 and the Arri Alexa, and I think it's even less so on the Ursa 12K. That's a fraction of the price. But I would argue color is going to be very close. They're both going to look good. Like there's no bad color between the three cameras. Knowing how other business segments operate, Sony, of course, is working on the what? Andre, there was more to that, and I didn't catch it. Hopefully, Sony's September update comes sooner and surprises. Again, as someone who's a big FX stan, I think that there's a lot of things to look forward to. I just hope that they actually happen. The Sony FX2 of 2035 will remain a pocket camera dedicated to creative work, global shutter, 32 megapixels, zero rolling shutter, 8K, 120 frames, 16-bit RAW, forces. All right, Ref, what's the price on that? That bad boy gonna cost you money in 2032. We also have so much more segmentation with a wider range of bodies and Lumix, which is also a con, being a benefit. R&D has so much more overhead, massive lineup. Yes, I understand that. I don't think people care. I think what they care about is the thing that you are going to release. Is that of value to me based on the things that you are offering? Again, the hard part with this is that unfortunately we're not like no one buying Sony cameras are employees of Sony. So how their back end works means very little, but how the front end works in terms of what's being offered, it's going to be weighed against what those other options are. Because unfortunately, we have to spend our own money to do it. I mean, yeah, well, I mean, yeah, so will I. Sony don't give out cameras for free, so. I always have to say about Sony's naming conventions. Hey, every camera company got weird naming conventions, bro. Next gen stuff while suffering. Hang on a second. Let me go back to your things. Oh, yeah. So they're working on the next base stuff for the current gen. Yeah. I just don't know if there is a sense of complacency that may stop them from not innovating as much as they used to. Oh wow, there's a lot of stuff in here. There's a lot of stuff in the chat. Toby Tech, what I'm going to tell you here, it might be new to the channel. I will never give a straight answer about what camera one should get without context. Not going to happen. And that's mostly because, like, if I lead you in the wrong direction, usually the person that people blame when they ask these questions outside of context is the person that told them, not necessarily a lack of research. So it depends on what you shoot, bro. That's a super valid point. Internal resource for development, upgrades across unknown. Mr. Should play. Do you think Sony will bring OpenGate before GTA 6? No. We're gonna get OpenGate after GTA 6. I think that's I could put money on that. If you're able to move to the States, what would be your top 3 cities or states to live? I wouldn't move to the States. Visiting's great. Wouldn't move there. You could pay me to, but generally wouldn't move there. Okay. That's more megapixels in the FX3. Follow-up question. How many of you needed more megapixels out of the FX3? At the cost of being able to shoot all the slow motion frame rates in full frame. Assuming the information is correct. I have to keep saying that because I don't want to get myself in trouble because I actually don't know if I will get in trouble. Ed, what's going on, boss? Somebody translate that because I don't know what that says. What's your favorite camera line right now? Don't have one. They're all good in their very own ways, and I arguably use all of them on a fairly regular basis. I do like, again, I will say I like what Blackmagic and what Lumix is doing right now this year at this current junction in time. But that information changes based on whenever things happen. So, have you seen the film? Yeah, absolutely, I have. Great movie. No idea. No clue. You see LiDAR in a Volvo car is frying cameras, smartphone sensors. Oh, that's weird. And DJI would never. Oh, no worries. 6,000 though. That's steep. Yeah. that makes sense. Great point, bro. Hopefully Sony is listening. The FX2 or whatever body they're positioning complete with. Hopefully. But yeah, no, right, Reza. I know we kind of cooked you yesterday, but yeah, I think in today's time when we got a recessi on the way, or maybe we're already in one, or maybe we've been in one this entire time. People are being a little bit more money conscious. So when stuff comes out, is going to be very much a conversation around why this thing exists, and if it's being told to me that it is good, why? And in contrast to other things, why would I get one versus the other? And I think those are valid conversations to have. Shilling notwithstanding. Do you think the S12 is worth $700 more than the S1E? I'm thinking about buying one of those cameras, mostly on short films. Yeah, 100%. I mean, that would be the same as like, well, if you have the A7 IV, the A7 IV to an A7S III, it's around $1,000, maybe around there, maybe around $1,200. The differences between the A7S III and the A7 IV, I think, are smaller than the different. Actually, no, they're about the same as the differences between one or the other. So I could comfortably say yes, because by that same logic, if that's not worth doing, then I would also have to say that going from an A7 IV to an A7S III is also not worth the price hike, which I don't think is true. Okay, so 70% solid with 30% videography, small client. In that case, Toby, the cheapest one that you could find out of the options that you previously said. Because if it's 70% photo, you'll be pretty content with any of those. I can't remember if you said something that was a Sony camera, like the FX3 smaller megapixel. So if you said the smaller megapixel Sony camera, which is the A7S III or FX3, maybe not. But the SI2X is 24, which I think if you're just starting, I think 24 megapixels is more than fine. I don't remember, what were the three I can't scroll back up, but what are the three cameras again? The innovation will come to next gen stuff, not current gen upgrades. They'll drip feed updates while sales are good, and once revenue dips will certain, then they will drop the innovation. I am very curious as to what those innovations are going to be, as things currently are, and also are the innovations that can be added things that we would need, and then secondarily, is the price of those innovations going to be justified? Have you ever used a 7 Artisan Spectrum lens, city lenses? I'm thinking, no, I haven't. 7 Artisans was, I would talk to them about, I think it's 7 Artisans or TT Artisans. I don't know why they're the same company name, but they had new cinema lenses that I was supposed to try out, and then that never happened. I don't know where they went. Do you use phantom LUTs on your? No, I do not. I use my own LUTs, Andre Marshall, which I haven't put for sale yet. I've been using the same, like I've made my own Lumix LUTs from the S9 release. Never once did I put them up, and maybe I will eventually, but I haven't done them. But I make my own. Okay, even if the FX2 gets more megapixels, won't that affect the low capabilities of a 12 megapixel sensor? Lincoln, in theory, yes, but I have seen people use the A7 IV shooting in low light at even like 10,000 ISO, and it hold up just fine. So I think in theory, yes. I think in practicality, probably not. And also, like, the ability to denoise software is far more accessible now than when you only had neat video like 6 years ago. So I think even if it was like a little bit noisier, I think it wouldn't bother that much people. Yeah, I don't know. Clearly, there's a market for it. I just don't know what the market is. And like, I'm trying to figure it out through you guys because I'm super confused and I'm super interested. Um, But there was, again, Reth, you weren't here earlier, but there was a whole petition to give the FX3 a viewfinder. And I really hope that this isn't like a Morbius situation, because Sony did this, where enough people like trolled Sony into re-releasing Morbius in theaters only so that the release of the film secondarily would flop again. I really hope that's not what people did to get Sony to release a new camera, because that would be insane to do something like that. I'm not new. I've been doing photography the last 3 years. Can you put the cameras down again? I forgot them. I'll be real. I forgot them. There's no great 100 to be cooked by Kofi and tight shirt Terry on cameras. I very much look forward to the Raven eating dinner at the condo in the summer. I mean, if I get invited again, I mean, I've been talking big Lumix stuff and big Black Magic for a little while. So hopefully Sony doesn't forget that I have made 168 pieces of content on Sony's own FX line, which is 10 times more than every other brand. Hopefully I don't forget that, but who knows? If I don't get an invite, it is what it is. But if I do get invited to condo, yeah, see you there. Can we do condo Toronto? I'm going to be real with this. The condo food we had last year could have used some improvement or salt. A7 III G master lenses would slap for 70% photography. You are not wrong there. If you could pick up an A7 IV for a reasonable price with the same lens, you might be in a good spot. Hey, Davis, my birthday twin. What's going on? Andre, thoughts on the new Lumix camera? Bro, I made a 30-minute video. My thoughts are in there. You're going to come here to this live stream, not watch the dang thing. And no, I'm just kidding. It's in that video. Those are my thoughts. My thoughts is that the price to value ratio is amongst some of the best that you're going to find out of mirrorless cameras as it currently stands. However, I am completely open to the idea that there might be something better. I'm making sure this is turned on and this little hinge thing is coming down. But to also make sure that I am open to the idea that if information changes, I am more than open to changing my opinion. But yeah. You're on my, hey, say less. I was just joking. I'm not actually mad. I joke like that. That's how I talk. LA's cancellation is strictly reserved for Gerald and only by Lumix. That's wild. Fun fact, he was invited, but whatever. We're not getting into that today. Food point is on ... point. Reza, be real. Be real. I know you're big Sony, but you're not going to sit up here on Kendrick's internet and lie. Be real. Be real. Will the Sony FX2... Maybe we're too close to the mic. Will the Sony FX2 have internal time code compatible with technical sync systems? Second question. To the first question, I don't know because it's not out yet. I have no clue. And I'm assuming that because they already make the proprietary cable to do it, I would assume so. The Lumix does not have the internal time code system outside of the Bluetooth time code that you need, the Atomos Bluetooth time code, which is unfortunate. I wish they had that. But I guess the Atomos one is fairly cheap and it works pretty well. Like we tried it before and it actually works pretty decently and it didn't take long to set up. So it doesn't have it the same way, but it definitely, you can use time code. You just have to do it different. Condo Toronto. Hey, Reza, talk to your boys. Do you think the FX2 might be targeting wedding shooters if they put a fast photo video switching possibly and just like sensor for it? Makes sense. Yeah, I guess so. If anybody had A7 IV heating problems, I mean, sound off in the chat on weddings particularly. I could see that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I could see that. The viewfinder would be a weird call though. Or what would it be? Yeah, I guess if you're shooting weddings, this is a good wedding camera. It's just $3,500 is a lot, man. But if we're being honest, this isn't the FX series just existing cameras in a new cine body sacrificing EVF, ergonomics, and so on for a couple of threaded holes? Not necessarily. I mean, like the sensors are going to be new. Some of the internal software is going to be new versus some of the other cameras out. Yeah, no, some like I mean, to that same point, then any camera that borrows one sensor and goes to the other is simply just a new rehousing that doesn't need to exist. And Ari's been reusing the same sensor for like a decade. So it's hard for me to get mad at Sony reusing sensors over like 3 years when Ari did it for 10. Mind you, sensor was really good. So Crimzoo, yes, it is. The sensor in the S1 2E is the same as the S5 2X. I think there's a couple of really minor differences in the image, but mostly what it was is the S1 2E. If I'm to give, spoil my own video. The S1 2E is the answer to the little brother wondering where his present is as well on Christmas Day. That got it last, because all of the things that were like in the GH7, the first thing, like when we did the Ari Log C in the GH7 video, in the film we did a little while ago, it was like a year ago. First thing that came out of everybody's mouth was, why isn't this on full frame? That's the S1 2E now. And then when you have the cameras like the S1R2 and the S1 II that are $3,300 and $3,200 respectively, somebody that would say that's out of my price range, that's what they made the S1 2E for. It's for the people that can't commit to a $3,000 camera, but still are okay and still want all the other features. But the only thing that they have to compromise on is a sensor. Andre, welcome. We are depraved here, so. AJ Master A74. I can say I don't know much about the R6 II. So that would lead me to say, if you don't want overheating at all, it's probably the S5 II. I've never heard that overheat. The other three I've seen before. So the S5 II, probably if overheating is a concern. But the A7 IV otherwise. So if I'm going to pick two, between the S5 II and the A7 IV. We need Viltrox to join the Element Alliance. Their high-end lenses are fire. Lincoln, you're going to be really happy in a couple months. Maybe. I mean, you're right. That food needed a lot of help. Hey, man. You know what it is? That food at Sony Condo made people switch to Lumix. I'm joking. Any new upgrades on the Bronco? Yes, actually. That might happen in a little bit. Fun fact, we may have a very long-term channel sponsor for a very long time, which I'm really excited about. But I will not say anything until that contract is signed, and that might pay for some of those upgrades. I'm not going to lie. Damn. If the rumors are real with that price tag, they better call it the FX2 late. Again, Jonathan, I think we're wrong. I think, I said this before about rumor sites. I think they're loud and wrong. We might be loud and wrong here too. And I'm hoping I am. In other news, I need you to take on the Fly More versus Creator combo on the Mavic 4 Pro. How important is having all intra 1200 422 versus HD Max 180 420? So all intra versus a H2.65 or a long op usually is going to come in handy when you have a lot of textures inside of an image, a lot of things that are moving around inside of an image, so it doesn't look weird. I would rather go with the all intra on the Mavic 4 if I'm gonna be honest with you. Actually, I think I have it. Like, it's right here. This is the one that this one fell into the river, and yeah, I would say if I was to pick anything, like especially with that drone, because truthfully, I think that might be the last drone I think a lot of people are gonna buy. I would maybe just go all out. Because I wouldn't know what to get from another drone after this. Like a Micro Four Thirds sensor, maybe that built-in ND might make its comeback, because I think it didn't get released for technical issues. Be able to shoot 6K 60 and all the other stuff, and the car tracking is absolutely nuts. I would say go all out, because it might be it's a drone that you're going to buy and not buy another one for 4 years unless you break it. Sony FX3 needs to drop in price. I really hope they do. I want Sony to be as reckless and competitive as they were in 2017, 18. All right, shout out to all the FX30 people in the chat. Keep grinding. Hey, If you guys ever need a resource, there's a library of 68 FX3 videos on this channel. I might not make another one anytime soon, but you got a lot of stuff to chew through. Thanks for your honest answer. I wish that the S12 is compatible with the tentacle sync. I'm from old school. Yeah. I think there's a couple people that had questions about that. It has like it's weird because it has like matching features. Like there's a feature on the camera itself where if you have a color checker and you have all the cameras around, it'll match up the cameras in camera like immediately. I wish time code options were better on there, but it does offer it. It's just not in the traditional workflow, unfortunately. But it works really well, but it's not the same thing. Where are we here? How about this? Is the S12E a full frame Sony FX30 killer? I wouldn't make that comparison because the sensors are different and they're also about almost $1,000 apart. I wouldn't know where the common thread would be in that one because the S12, I don't know about that one. I only don't know about that one because there's not enough. The commonalities aren't close enough to make that work. Outside of, I think they both crop at 60 frames a second, but then I don't know. Also, I wouldn't call a killer of a camera that's more expensive than the thing it's being compared to. That's a tough one. SI2X at 1500 would be great. It would be. I might be in the market of selling mine. Who knows? Hopefully never. I don't want them to have subscription-based software. Also, the camera would have to be connected to the internet all the time for that to make sense or even work. Lucy, that's way too big of a swing between two cameras to pick one or the other. I need to know the circumstance that would put you in the market of either a Pixis or an Arri Alexa Mini LF. Well, you got to compare the cameras used to new. Like, you got to go used to user or new to new. Because then, like, how much would an A7 IV be if it was used, right? So, but no, in that case, we get a camera that's $650 less, and I would get the camera $650 less. But I don't know if that's a fair comparison, considering one is new and one is used. Even though Sony will never do this, the FX3 needs the same thing that the Komodo and Komodo X got, a big price drop in rates and the variance in the FX line. Yeah, again, whoever's from Sony, if you're listening, be disruptive and reckless. Just do it. I guarantee you people will rejoice. I don't know what your profit margins are like, but I'm sure they'll be great. Be as reckless as humanly possible right now. Or if you're too complacent, someone else is going to eat your lunch. And I'm not even saying like in the next like 6 months. I mean, in the next like 2 years. If you're complacent for the next 24 months, there's ground to be lost. I'm just saying that as a business. So, but again, I might be wrong. I'm just a person. You probably made a video on this, but what's your favorite affordable lenses, Samyang, Shirley, Tamron, etc.? Andre, I'll be surreal with you. I've never made this video because I've never really had those lenses in a full set for the camera because I came from having an FX6 to a 30. And at the time, I had all G Master lenses, and that's all I used for work. So I've never had my hands on them, so it's hard to say which one's my favorites because I didn't actively use them. Rumor sites are wrong. Remember when it said the Lumix camera would have a smaller body with the FX3? This is exactly why I said I don't like rumor sites, and that's exactly why I said that I hope that I'm wrong. And I hope that this thing is fake. Because of that same fact. Because of the idea that rumor sites have always kind of missed out a big chunk of the story up until the very last minute. So I hope this is just another instance of that happening. But yeah, to your point, Central, you are correct. I totally agree with you. Read that Sony dropped the price of the FX3 and 30 as a reaction to the S12 as a precursor to launch to the FX2. Did they drop the price? I can check right now. Check that out. B&H. B&H camera. FX3 is still $38.98. So they didn't change the price. It's not changed. Also, saturation on my monitor looks way better than it does on my laptop. That's different. The guest stream is ready in Seattle Cove. Bring up an extra MP4 and help you forget. Take it home. Absolutely not. We're not doing that. I mean, you could always just drive over to Abbotsford and then just buy one. Thank you, man. For the most part, I've recovered most of it. Like a lot of brand sponsorships and stuff like that has been really cool in terms of being able to get a lot of stuff back. Bro, you stood so still. I thought the stream was like, don't kill me. Sony is also used. Then yeah, just get the S5 II. If it's gonna be $2,000 used for an A7 IV, just get the S5 II. Save your money. Buy lenses. So hey, how are things going outside of the camera gear announcements? You've already hinted at a pending contract. I don't want to jinx a pending contract, and we'll figure out things on Monday. Short film script is on its final revision before we start working on it. Hopefully we're gonna shoot in July. That's pretty much it, man. Just kind of living life and getting this channel kind of going. Want to get to 100K. That'd be cool. It'd be cool to try to get to 100K. And I think maybe I should take a serious swing at doing it. But we'll see. Will you do a dynamic range between the Pixis 6K and the Lumix S1 II? Everyone knows a winner, but I would want to see how much difference it would be. Half a stop? No. Like a stop, maybe. But also, like, even when I tried to use dynamic range boost mode, you couldn't tell the difference because like there's a certain point where like having more dynamic range doesn't give you anything else. So yeah, it'd be about a stop if I'm guessing. FX3 25 hours will likely every house on it. Yeah, see if again, Sony, I know you won't take $1,300 off that camera, but do it anyways. Do like Red does. When Red decided to bring the Komodo original to $3,000, people started snatching them things up. I would do it. Don't even worry about people getting mad that they bought their FX3s at full price. Just snatch it up. Just drop the price. Who cares? Who cares? When we see how FX3 killed everything, making a price drop in the FX3 with a big innovation would be the most selling camera. Well, then here's hoping that the FX3 II has enough things to supersede anything else that's currently available. In the longer that we wait, the more things that are going to come out that'll eliminate stuff that we might want from an FX3 II, or because they already exist. Hopefully. Mr. 5:30 p.m. cutoff. Oh yeah, go spend more time before she gets jealous. Yeah, you might be right. She's home. I'm gonna get off in like couple. I'm gonna get to let me get to the bottom of these comments. One of the hardest things for companies is to learn how to cannibalize their own product with a new product as opposed to a competitor doing it for them. Yeah, that's fair. To be fair though, Sony they can't keep that FX3 in stock. They're having trouble producing enough to actually go around. So in the same vein, yes, and exactly what I said, the S1 II offers more. But also Sony's been selling that FX3 real well. My guy, you're still going. I'm also gonna go soon. There's like 2 more comments I gotta read, and then I'm pretty much. There's no new comments. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much it. Curious what Sony will bring. There's still an empty spot between the FX6 and the Burano. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Maybe that's the next camera to come out. I'm kind of tired of these cameras that like aren't follow-ups to really popular stuff. Maybe there's just something a little bit new. Maybe something different. So we'll see. Happy Victoria Day. Is it Victoria Day weekend this weekend? Frig. Oh, I don't know. Did you have your hands on the Pixis 12K? Is the dynamic range that good? I literally just brought back the Ursa 12K, which has the same sensor. The dynamic range is that good. 100%. It's the closest thing I think that is currently available next to the Arri Alexa. What if they come out with an FX3 II and it's 5K and they keep the FX3 at 4K? Then it better have a really good reason to be 5K. I just hope it is another Burano $25,000 camera with worse readout than the S5 II. That poor Burano, man. You know what? To be fair, okay, I'll be fair. On one end, I will say that poor Burano. On the other end, the people that actually are in the use case for it love it and are making tons of money with that Burano. So to say, yeah, like we might have a lot of contentions for the rolling shutter and stuff like that for the Burano, but the people that are using it in broadcast and television, they don't care and they're making thousands. I tell my friends I'm like an Apple fanboy for Sony. I'm telling shit about them when they release a camera I'll become a fanboy again. Yeah, that's fair. I have no, like, again, if they come out with a banger, I have no problem spending money and getting it. I'm quite literally, my financial life has been changed for the better by buying FX line cameras. So I have no problem doing that. So just because you're still streaming, hey, respect, Mark, man. I promise I'd leave soon. Also, I'm pretty sure my girlfriend is leaving the house soon anyway, so I will hang out with her for an hour. Okay, I'm going to speed through these and I'm going to get out of here. Summing it up, I'll stick with my A6100. I'm currently borrowing for now my iPhone and my YouTube channel. Hey, make that money and then shit gets expensive. Yes, it does. It is very expensive. Will Sony FX3 continue to sell as well? You actually on the shelf. I hope to God, because we actually contacted Lumix about it before, about fixing some of the object tracking stuff to make it a little bit more tenable, and also autofocus via, or when you have an HDMI into it. I would assume that they would have that kind of sorted out before the camera ships, or even a little bit after that, hopefully. And if they can, yeah, I think it'd be I think we'll have very honest and open conversations about maybe 2 cameras being at the top of the market. That one, and this is the last. Oh, Jesus, there's a lot. Hey dude, how's it going? Awesome. Just hopped in. Mitchell, I'm sorry, I'm just leaving. Have you discussed thoughts, wishes on the success of the Sony cameras, including OpenGate or internal OCN? Lightly, yes. We were mostly just talking about this whole like rumor leak or whatever, and how I hope that there's more to the story. And so far we don't really have any information, but maybe I'll do another stream and we'll talk about what a new Sony FX line will look like. Hey, Reza, all love, baby. We'll talk soon. They don't Kofi, got an I can send it to you if you want. Yeah, man. Just throw it on my Instagram whenever you got it going. I want to know what update to your script too for your film. If you guys don't know, Michael Taylor is working on I believe a feature. He has a script for it and stuff like that. So yeah, he's doing big things. It's hard to switch from Sony with those tons of GM lenses, but Lumix is making their case. I believe you, but also you sell some of those GM lenses, you can buy quite a few L mount primes. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. I want to go eat food. I probably should go for a walk. I have not done any form of exercise in the last 24 hours. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Deuces.